Happy Sunday!
Happy Sunday! Cheers, everybody!
Right, thank you, everyone, for joining us once again for another episode of Dungeon Manager. As always, a huge thank you to our assistant dungeon managers on Patreon, Rory O'Sullivan and Graham Muir. Thank you so much. For more information on that, I've never sounded more like a game show host. You can check that out in the link below. And also, please give us a like, a subscribe, click the bell icon to see more videos from us. And also, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, so give us a follow on there as well. I think that's everything. So, no nails this week, I'm afraid. So much like the DM's role, they are invisible this session.
Your nails are invisible.
My nails are invisible. There's nothing on there, but you could just see exposed nerves. That's horrible. No, let's just jump into it, okay? Okay.
I'm uncomfortable.
We could have painted invisible nails if I had like the right precise tools. I could have done little tiny veins and stuff.
Painted flesh on my nails.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Can we move on now?
Maybe next week.
Yes, let's move on, please.
Okay, so when last we met, you had entered deep into the Temple of Gond, there finding a shrine dedicated to the Bone Cadre. There, you found a spirit clinging onto this material plane. A spirit you eventually found was called Rebecca Viceth, one of the corpses on the ground. Corpses that once belonged to the cult of the Marrowborn. She revealed that they had been struck down by Thomas Eidelwhent and a mysterious creature that moved through shadow and darkness, much like that which you had already met at Garland House. Thomas, unhappy at the Viceths taking over leadership of this sect of the Marrowborn, had wanted to take it back in his family name and had murdered them all in cold blood. She also revealed that Oriana, the symbol round your neck, the one belonging to the symbol of Azil, was one that the Bone Cadre held in immense fear. And Oriana disclosed a little more about this deity she followed. Indeed, not a deity at all, but rather a mortal, perhaps a tiefling, perhaps a dragonborn, wandering the mortal plane, seeking repentance for the act that they committed once they were a lesser god, once serving a being known as Pestis Zalen, the author of the book that Oriana now carries with her. Finding out more from Rebecca Viceth, it soon became clear that you were not alone, and from the marrow glass in the middle of the room, the creature appeared once more. Engaging you all in battle, it revealed that yours was not the only deaths planned that evening. Thankfully, you managed to beat it into submission once more, and without further ado, you rushed to the upper city, suspecting that the other victim that the creature had hinted at was none other than Victoria Severille, one of two survivors from the meeting that Thomas called a month back. Upon arriving, and Dalfar drawing the attention of some of the City Watch, stood to attention around the house, you snuck inside and found Victoria Severille under attack by no one other than Svetlana Nadiat, someone that you had met in your journey from the High Forest to Waterdeep. And as you tackled her off prone Victoria Severille, thankfully still alive, Svetlana came to, asking where she was, as Victoria Severille turned to you all and asked what you were doing in her house. So, as you all stood around with Svetlana tied against a table, and Victoria stood to one side, her tall, twisting grey horns almost scraping the air above her head, and members of the City Watch stood around looking very confused at this eclectic group of people before them. What would you like to do?
So who's in the room?
So all of you, Zini has just arrived, and 5 members of the City Watch, Svetlana and Victoria Severille.
Well, there's 2 questions to answer.
Well, the question is, do we want to just have a moment of her time, but she doesn't know who we are? So I think, I mean, at this point the danger's over, so thankfully we don't have to deal with that. So I think, and because the last thing that happened was Lady Severille asking us who we are. So I step forward. Dalafar steps forward and says, "We have come to your aid because we thought there would be an attempt on your life, Lady Severille."
As you step forward, you notice one of the guards just place their hand on their sword, and you notice that all of them are looking around at you. And you notice that you are exactly 1 for 1 on City Watch, and each of them seem to be eyeing you up, seeing how they can probably take you each. But they are looking, and one in the middle, a little larger than the others, with a little bit of ginger hair coming down from under their helmet, just steps forward a bit and, "Well, I don't know about the lady, but I think there's some explaining to do. I am very confused." He looks down at Svetlana. "Who is this?"
What did she say to me was the last thing she remembered?
As she remembered going out to get firewood.
At her brother's place.
Right. This servant has no guilt in this matter.
What do you mean, no guilt?
We understand that there is some type of mind control happening to control the servants.
Svetlana looks at you, and then at Dalafar. "So you came here to stop an attempt on my life, is that what you're saying?"
That is correct, and thankfully we made it just in time.
Well, I thank you. She looks at Svetlana. "Are you all right, my dear?" Svetlana looks up and just nods. Svetlana looks back at you. "And how do you know about this mind control, as you put it, and how did you become aware of this attempt on my life?"
There is a great deal we must discuss, but rest assured, we are friends. We are not in any way, we do not in any way mean you any harm. But we would like a moment of your time if you'd allow us that.
Make a persuasion check.
That's a 7.
She looks at you, and
All of the persuasion.
Rolling just as well.
as she looks you up and down, one of the guards steps forward and, "Lady Severille, I would advise not speaking to a third party in this matter. We've still yet to ascertain what is actually going on here." And she looks at them. "This is my servant. I will deal with matters in my own way. Please untie Svetlana." "Well?"
I'll do it because I'm right next to her.
And Svetlana looks at you and, as you're untying, just mouths, "Thank you." And then she looks to Lady Severille. "Lady, these are good people. I met them on road here. They to Waterdeep, I to this city, and they are good people. They saved my life. They saved my family. I say if you do not believe them... And she looks at each of you. She smiles. I believe you should. Give them a moment of your time. Svetlana looks. Very well. But I would rather a member of the City Watch be with me while we discuss matters.
Absolutely.
Well, come with me. I suggest we find a place to sit down, rather than cramp ourselves in this dusty room.
Can I just check, Lady Severille, are there any exposed mirrors in your house?
I heard something down the grapevine that we should be covering our mirrors. I have thrown sheets over most of them, as to the best of my ability. Frankly, this house is much larger than I remember it being. I used to have servants for that sort of thing.
Would you mind if I just went round and checked the mirrors, just to see if they're okay?
So long as you don't mind a member of the City Watch travelling with you, as we do this. Very well. One of you? And she clicks her fingers, and you can see the guards kind of give her, we're not your servants. So it's like one of them just steps forward and, right, I'll join you. What are we doing?
What's your name?
Rivers.
I'm Zebe.
Pleased to meet you. We're just covering mirrors, yeah?
Well, just checking that nothing's coming through them.
Right. Let you give a holler if anything untoward, alright? And the man with the ginger hair just... We will, aye. Right, come on, you lot. And Severille gives him a look, and I will do the coming on, you lot. Come on, you lot. And she shuffles her way out. And Xena, you're left alone with Rivers. And, right, lead the way.
Okay, I call after the others. I'll scream if anything happens.
We'll come running.
Zini, make a general investigation check around the house.
Ooh, okay. That would be a 16.
16. So as you're walking around, it is an expansive house. It is vast. And as you're walking around, as you observed when you first came in, not very well maintained. You get the impression that it has been left a little to seed over the last however long. But as you're walking around, you make your way from room to room, and there don't seem to be any secret rooms of any kind. It seems to, what you see is what you get, and you are able to make your way around all the various floors until eventually you make your way down. And indeed, most of the mirrors have been covered. You find one or two, and most of these are fairly small makeup mirrors, but even these, you don't chance it. You just throw bits of tarpaulin and bits of clothing as and where you find. But Rivers is following you and just... So, you're a group of... what, do-gooders?
I don't know, really. Just a group.
Right. From Baldur's Gate? Or?
Well, some of us are. I'm from the High Forest. Others are from Neverwinter. All over, really. What about you?
Baldur's Gate, born and bred. Yeah, started out in the lower city, came to Citadel Streets for training, and then, been a guard last 10 years.
You enjoy it?
Yeah, sure. Pays the bills.
Ever seen anything weird?
Well, I've seen illicit spell scroll deals. That's pretty much it. Most of the crime in this part of the city is fairly fairly easy to deal with. Lower City's the main problem. They've got the undercellar, but up here it's mostly rich households. And,
So the murders are very unusual then?
I would say so. Yeah. Hence the, perhaps, extra measures being taken.
I suppose that's kind of reassuring.
Why do you ask?
Oh, it's been a weird few months.
Shall we go down the stairs?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay. So the rest of you, as Xenia's walking around the house, Lady Severille leads you downstairs, and you see once more that none of the lights are on. The only light seems to come from Lady Severille's now relit candle as she walks down, and it creates this very eerie effect as all of your shadows follow you down either side of the stairs as you're walking down, until eventually you find yourself in the same foyer in which you entered. And eventually she leads you through to a very large, ornate, what looks to be a dining room. There are bookshelves round the side with heavy leather tomes. There's a large, very, very ornate table in its centre. Although as you walk in, you notice that there is a film of dust along its top. And there are a number of chairs around, and you can see that the windows all have the curtains drawn. And Lady Severille bids you all sit. And you see that as Svetlana also walks into the room, you see Lady Severille just stop her and just, "Are you all right? Do you need something else? I'm just going to get everyone refreshments." And Svetlana just, no, I can, and no, not a job. Sit down. And she, "I'm going to make some tea. Would anyone like some tea?"
No, thanks.
"Well, I will get it."
Maybe someone should go with you.
I was going to say I get up and offer, perhaps I can help you.
"Oh, thank goodness." And as she walks away and beckons you with her, she's like, "I am awfully out of practice. I am forced to make food for myself for the first time in a very long time, and honestly, I'm withering away. I'm withering away in this house. It would be good to have some... You know how to make tea, don't you?"
I do.
"Good, okay, come with me." And she leads you through to this, again, very large kitchen, large stone flagstones and unlit iron chandeliers hanging above, and she takes you over to this stove, and she opens up this cupboard, and there are a number of different jugs and kettles, and she's just looking at them. And as she does, she brings out, what you immediately recognize is not a kettle. As she starts filling it with water, it looks to be some kind of pan, and she started to take it over to the stove.
Perhaps I should make the tea. Why don't you sit down and tell me tell me what you were doing up until the events of us coming into your home. And I take the pan and just sort of, I look at her as if when she's talking, but sort of very carefully just put the pan aside and slowly just get an actual kettle. and
Are you trying to do this without her noticing?
No, just sort of attentively as if, you're talking to someone but you're doing something else in the meantime as well.
She pulls a chair to one side and sits down at the sort of wooden kitchen island that exists in the middle, and sort of, "Thank you, gentlemen. Well, this evening I did what I always do. I was making myself some bread and soup, and I ate this, as I always do, in the kitchen, and I was merely heading upstairs to bed. I was checking each room, just in case, and then I was set upon by Svetlana.
Okay.
It has been my routine ever since I sent the servants away.
When did you send the servants away?
Little over 10 days ago, I should say. Maybe longer.
I see. Do you know if you have anything sweet that I could give to Svetlana? She's had a bit of a shock, and something sweet might help her relax.
Well, we have some sugar somewhere, I'm sure.
Do I see any kind of fruit or
Make a perception check for me.
roll my other die? Jesus Christ. That's a 9.
9. Looking around, you don't see it. You see what looks to be a larder off to one side, and peeking your head in, you can see a number of different sacks and whatnot. And it takes you a little while looking through, but eventually you are able to find what looks to be sort of a satchel of apples. But more than this, it's a vast larder, almost as large as the kitchen itself.
Okay. While the water's boiling, I chop the apples up into reasonably bite-sized pieces, and just turn to Lady Severille and go, well, how do you know, as we're just discussing, how do you know the Eidelwhent family?
I take it this is what you wanted to discuss with me.
In detail with the others, yes, but as just a general courtesy, I'd like to, for me to find my way around, since I've met Lord Thomas Eidelwhent.
She gives you a look and just, have you?
We have indeed, hence why we had we offered some help to his son, and we feared what may have happened to him could have happened to you, hence why we showed up here.
I heard the news. That poor boy. I am, as Lord Thomas, and indeed his son, is very fine boy. We are architects. I am one of the chief architects for the Temples district. Though I reside here in Manborn.
Okay. And where is your husband?
Passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, not at all. It was many years ago. I live on my own.
I see. Do you have any children?
No. Alas, I never had that pleasure.
I see. I continue to make the tea and put the apples on a plate of some kind and find a tray.
Okay.
Shall we?
Yes. Let us. And you move through, and by this stage, Zini is coming down into the foyer, and you sort of meet as you once more enter into the large dining room. And Svetlana accepts the apples very gratefully and starts to just eat at them, and you can see her hands are shaking quite a bit. She seems to be quite shook by the whole experience. And Lady Severille just sits at the head of the table, and so, before we go any further, I should remind you that there are members of the City Watch here. They have been assigned to protect me. If any of you does anything out of line, well, there shall be repercussions. Do you understand?
We understand, but there is no danger of that happening.
In that case, talk. Who are you? And why have you come to my aid?
In our adventures in the Upper City, we happen upon the home of Fridolf and Marie, and in our sort of meeting, we encountered something that attacked them. And from then we went to Lord Thomas Eidelwhent because we felt that they might be a little safer there. And we felt that we could offer some help in investigating these murders, along with the new information of what attacked Lord Thomas's son and wife. And in our investigation, we happened upon some information that pointed us in the direction that your life will be in danger as well. And that led us to where we are now. But
So,
Sorry?
So I'm in the presence of sleuths.
That is one way to put it, yes.
Well, and she turns to you, Tara. I thank you for saving my life. But I'm sure you are aware, as I am, and as she looks to Svetlana, she reaches out a hand and just squeezes Svetlana's. I am under no illusion that the servants are not to blame for this. And at this stage, one of the City Watch steps forward. With all due respect, and she turns to him, with all due respect, if you believe that, then you are believing codswallop. And the guard just, yes ma'am, steps back. And she turns to you again once more, Tara. Svetlana says she knows you. Travelling to Waterdeep, did you say? Well, you must have made quite an impression. So, do you have any leads?
I think before we share anything, it may be beneficial for us to ask you a few more questions.
Of course.
Now, I would like to ask you about... What's his name?
Thomas Eidelwhent?
Thomas Eidelwhent. Now, if... I'd like you to be completely honest. So, perhaps it might be worth you thinking about whether you would like to speak more privately, and I acknowledge the watch.
Anything I have to say to you, I have already said to the City Watch on multiple occasions. I am an open book in this occasion.
Well, then, would you like to tell us about the meeting that you attended?
She looks rather taken aback, and then... Yes, of course. How much do you know?
I think it best if you assume we know everything.
Well,
but for the sake of openness, why don't you tell us from the beginning?
she takes a sip of her tea, keeping eyes on you over the brim, and then places it down and straightens it in front of her before she looks up at you. Around a month ago, Lord Thomas Eidelwhent asked if I might host a meeting, and he asked if I could be present as well. There would be others at the meeting, and he wanted to speak about the Temples District. Obviously, this is my purview. I agreed. I have known him for quite some time, and we have always been on good terms with one another. We are business rivals, but friendly rivals. In any case, eventually, the others came. There was Lady Orson, Lord Wolfman, Lord Claflin, Lord Ormond, and Lord Boyle. They all arrived on their own, and I remember Lord Thomas brought with him Elmin, his major domo. I don't know if you've met him. In any case, all of us were in the dark when we began this meeting. I did not know, for one, what it was he wanted to broach. But Thomas outlaid a plan to renovate a portion of the Temples District. He told us this was a commission from someone outside of the city. Someone from Commonstadt. In any case, we all flatly denied and declined this renovation. It is a portion of the city, not least to mention the Temple of Gond, that would be affected, that has immense historical and cultural significance to the city. He made the argument that his family had built other temples to Gond, and indeed he was a believer. That, while, yes, it would be sad to see it go, it was time for the city to move on somewhat. Naturally, we continued to disagree with him. And we left matters not on the best terms. Nevertheless, we continued about our business. He was seeking permission from us, you see. After all, it is my district, architecturally. There were those who hold sway over the Guild of Plumbers, and those who work within the Guild of Sculptors, people who would be able to give him the permission to carry out such a design. I think we were all rather rattled that he would want to so drastically overhaul a portion of the city that meant so much to so many. In any case, afterwards, things started to change. I take it that is why you are here.
When you say things started to change, what started to change besides the murders?
Lady Orson was the first to be murdered by her butler, Francis. Now, I have known Lady Orson for... She takes a moment. I knew Lady Orson for a great many years, and as such I knew her staff intimately. I knew Francis. Francis is not the sort. He would not have done it. Yet they found him at the scene of the crime, as all of the other purported suspects, tongue cut out, bloody knife in hand, stood over the body. He was arrested. Shortly after, it was Lord Wolfman, also murdered. Now, by this stage, I am not an idiot, nor were the rest of us. We went to the City Watch, and we informed them of our suspicions. We believed, and certainly I believed, this was Lord Thomas acting out. He had not got his way, and so he was seeking to remedy that. They said they would look into him. He had an alibi for both nights, but they said that they would continue, in secret, investigating him. Eventually, I grew tired of waiting, and so I invited him and his wife, Isabella, round to my house. I confronted him about it myself. He came with Elmin. His wife, unfortunately, was ill. I do not know if she knows anything about it. Knowing her, I doubt it. But I confronted him about it, and he said he did not know anything about it, that he was as scared as I. Anyway, that night, while he was round, Lord Claflin was murdered. I do not believe that absolves Lord Thomas, but I do not necessarily believe he is the one responsible. Shortly after, I sent my servants away, both for my own safety and for theirs. She looks at Svetlana. If servants were being used in such a way, I didn't want to run the risk of any of them being harmed or implicated. Then the Byrne family died, and then Lord Boyle, and then that poor boy. And I have it on good authority that the Eidelwhents have an alibi for every evening. And that, truthfully, is all I know. I will tell you this, though. I trust Lord Thomas about as far as I can throw him. And as you can see, especially in the recent week, I'm very frail. So, that is all I know. Therefore, sleuths, does that line up with what you know?
Yes.
It does.
But not with what Thomas told us.
Unsurprisingly.
We had a feeling.
Do we believe everything she's told us?
I was going to say, can I do an insight check, please?
I'd say both of you make an insight check.
It's called a sus check.
Or a sus check.
Yeah. Gosh, honestly.
12.
And Catherine?
14.
14. She seems to be telling the truth. She seems to be incredibly transparent with you. And as you look around at the guards as well, one of them you see seems to be nodding at the details that she's giving. And whenever she mentions the City Watch, she gestures to them as well in a, I did tell you this, manner.
Mm-hmm.
But she looks at all of you and looks to Svetlana. Do you want to be getting back to your family? And Svetlana goes, I would, yes, but of course I will stay as long as is needed. And one of the City Watch, I am afraid that she did try to murder... Oh, poppycock! Can't you see the poor woman is distressed? Stand down! Ridiculous man! She turns her attention to all of you. So, you suspect this may happen again?
Well, to you, you're the last one.
Yes. What would happen if he were to succeed in taking your life? How much power or access would that give him?
So we are assuming that he is behind this. Is that what you're saying?
Hypothetically.
I would say hypothetically, these are positions that will need to be filled again. They will need to be filled by members of the upper city who are capable of fulfilling the duties. In my case, that would be someone who would be willing to step up to the primary architect in charge of commissions, designs, and accepting contracts within the Temples district. There are not many within Upper City, but hypothetically, if I were to step down, lose my position, or indeed my life, there would need to be someone else who could do the job. And so, hypothetically, if Thomas could find people amenable to his designs, to fill said positions. That is the only thing I can think of. I am old, but I am incredibly smart, and I've been doing this for a very long time. I've never seen subterfuge like this, but subterfuge does occur, even in a place such as Upper City.
Lady Severille, can you think of a reason, if hypothetically Thomas was responsible in some way, why he would allow us to investigate with his permission?
Did he?
Who has the writ, the document?
Dalabar.
One of the guards took it.
As you look about, one of the guards just, slides it across the table.
Mm-hmm.
There, you can have that back now.
Thanks.
That's yours. Yeah. Well, sound like it. Just goes back, and Lady Severille looks at the document. I do not know. But you are correct. It is odd. I'm afraid this is a situation where you would have to ask, well, him.
Hypothetically, this would put him in good light in the fact that he would be seen to have tried to look into the murders, albeit through external means from the Watch, and suspicion would grow even less around him, and he would be seen in much better light, giving himself a better position to get away with it, potentially.
Or he isn't responsible, at least to some degree, as he has alibis for the nights of previous murders. Or he's incredibly arrogant.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I wonder if we can use that to our advantage.
We could try, but it depends whether it's true.
Well, he will inevitably try this again, since Lady Severille here is the only other survivor. Unless he plans to fake his own death, but that's another matter.
And we know that there's another marrow glass near his home.
I pick up the letter.
Does we're still within hearing distance of her. Does she react when she says what did you say, marrow glass?
Marrow glass.
Does she react to that?
Make an insight check.
I'd like to look as well. Come on. Natural 20.
To both of you, she just seems to sort of cock an eyebrow. She seems to have no idea what you just said. You might as well have just said the letter opener. Like, it's innocuous and it is out of the blue. She doesn't know what you mean.
Lady Severille, how well do you know the Eidelwhent Manor?
The house itself?
Yes.
Well, I've been to many parties there. Mm-hmm. And naturally, it is a place where Lord Eidelwhent conducts much of his business. His study is where he and I have discussed many potential designs that cross between Temple's district and the Manor Ball. I've been there, I haven't been all over, naturally, but I've certainly been there. I know it relatively well.
Are you invited to the ball?
I am, yes.
Were you intending on going, given your suspicions?
She stands and just gives a wait a moment gesture, and she shuffles over, sort of pulling the shawl over her shoulders, and she pushes past a couple of city watch guard and just opens up a drawer underneath one of the bookshelves. And she brings out, I would be giving this to you in person, but
I'll come and
just
get it.
Here. And she brings out an invitation, and she says, I was planning to give this one a miss, but if you would like to take a look, and Terra reaches out as the invitation exchanges hands, and she gives it to Terra.
Oh my god,
perfect segue.
It would be amazing if you just sort of dropped it in your screen and then...
You can do that.
We should have two copies, so then you could have done it with your... Oh, well. Oh, this is nice.
Oh.
When did you print this? You haven't been at work for literally like a month.
Yeah, I printed it a while ago.
Wow.
We've just dicked around for so long.
No,
yeah.
I just have so much paperwork that is never going to come into being until, like, who knows when. But yeah, she hands over the invitation. She said, under these circumstances, I thought I would probably not attend. That said, perhaps being amongst other faces would be preferable to being alone. But I do not know.
Do you have a +5?
She looks at you and... This will come as a shock to you, but no, I don't.
I suggest you do attend, because in a public place, it'll make it that much more difficult to discreetly cause you harm.
She just considers this a moment and... Well, I have 2 days to make a decision.
I believe there are a few options here. The first is that Lord Eidelwhent is responsible. The second is that someone in Lord Eidelwhent's household is responsible. The third is that someone disconnected from the Eidelwhents altogether is responsible. I wonder if perhaps then the ball is the best place to lay a trap. If, in the hypothetical scenario, Lord Eidelwhent is very overconfident, that might be the best place to lay him out. In the case he is not responsible, and he is a potential victim, I mean, what better place to strike where 2 victims are in the same place?
As you're talking, you see one of the guards with the ginger hair just sort of pushes it into his helmet a bit and is like, no, hang on, you understand what you're talking about would be construed as, I believe the term is vigilante justice. Now, as a member of the City Watch, and Lady Severille just looks at him and, God's sake, and he's just like, look, I have to do my job, lady. I do apologise, but you understand that what all of you are doing flies directly in the face of the law. This is an investigation, an ongoing investigation, I might add.
That the law asked for help with on the notices.
Yes, like information, that kind of thing. We're not looking for people to actively be going in and trying to bring culprits to justice. Now, you need to work with us.
You've been given information and you've done nothing with it.
We have been, as the lady said, did you not say, Lady Severille, that we have been investigating? We have been.
How long?
Yeah, we seem to be doing a better job than you.
All right, leave it alone. No, it's, we have been doing everything we can with the...
How long have you been investigating?
I mean, since the murders started, we have been conducting...
Which is how long?
Well, a couple of 10 days. A couple of 10 days, almost a month.
How long have we been in the city, Dalifar?
About 2 days.
Look, you...
Oh, shush.
Perhaps you should leave this to the professionals.
He looks at all of you and just... Lady Severille, do you want to... And no, I rather don't, actually. And... Right you are, ma'am. In fact, we'll get out of your hair. And he just...
Before you go, I think if of the 5 of you, I'm sure 3 of you are more than capable of protecting somebody. So if 2 of you could give Svetlana an escort home, we would be very grateful, and I'm sure Lady Severille would as well.
Just looks at you. Of course. Miss Svetlana, was it? And Lady Severille. We will call her by her proper name, Miss Nadia. And right you are, Miss Nadia. Would you like to go home now? And Svetlana looks up and... yes. And she stands quite hesitantly, and her hands are against the table as she pushes herself up, and she just looks around at each of you, and she places her hands on your shoulders, Terra, and just gives this massive bear hug to you just from behind. And she looks at all of you and... This is twice now. I thank you. From the bottom of heart, I thank you. And she starts to leave, and please, don't be strangers. You have a dress, and she points at Zini. You have a dress, so please come visit.
Do we know if she lives in the upper city or the lower city?
You would know from the address that she lives in the lower city.
Okay.
Smiling at as she leaves.
And as she does so, Lady Severille looks after her, and the doors shut behind the city watch, and you are left alone with Victoria Severille.
Lady Severille, what
Yes?
do you know about Elmin?
What, the Major Domo?
Yes.
Well, I know that he is the envy of most ladies and lords throughout Upper City. He is officious in his duties, and he is extremely tactful, very, very good with guests, and running the household generally. I've heard not a bad word about him. Why do you ask?
How long has he worked with the Eidelwhent?
Well, as far as I'm aware, for most of Thomas's professional life, I believe. He's a half-elf, so he has lived a little longer than most humans, but as far as I'm aware, he's been working for him around 40 years.
Was he working... Did he work for Lord Thomas's father?
Lord Carmichael?
Yes.
Well, yes. I mean, primarily he was Lord Thomas's servant, but there, towards the end of Carmichael's life, I know that Elmin was responsible for the well-being of Lord Carmichael, who was kept at Eidelwhent Manor, but I believe that Elmin stood by his bedside most days.
Do you know where he came from? Where did he work before here?
I do not know. I do not know. One usually does not pry into these things.
As a follow-up to the earlier question about being at Lord Thomas's manor, have you, knowing that you are an architect, I think you'd be the best person to ask, aside from Lord Thomas himself. Do you think, or have you noticed any places in the manor that could potentially be a private place, a place that no one else, apart from perhaps the Lord of the House, might go to?
I mean, as far as I'm aware, only Lord Thomas, Lady Isabella, and any business partners are invited into his study. That is the most secret place I have ever been in, but naturally it is open to all who come to do business with Lord Thomas. Hardly a vault. It is a vast, vast building, and which, if you have been there, I'm sure you have noticed. If there are hidey holes available, I'm sure they are well hidden from view.
Do you know...
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You go.
Scarlett, I was just wondering whether you wanted to mention your idea about ensnaring the culprit at the party.
Yes, I mean, it might work less well given our current suspicions, but I won't bore you with the details. I was inspired by a play. But I thought, well, at a ball, it's, full of pomp and circumstance, and of course, wonderful meals. We believe that these murders have been carried out by a particular creature, made of bone, quite dreadful, can also charm people to do its bidding, which is why the servants have, unfortunately, been put in the situations they have been. And there are some that worship creatures similar to these, but not the same. so well it would be a way to poke them up of hiding by creating a dish that sort of referenced these creatures to sort of perhaps put them on edge, or know they're being hunted, or tease them, I suppose, in a sense, you know. I mean, if these are their gods, or similar to their gods, sort of consuming them might be seen as blasphemous.
As you mention creatures for the first time,
Yeah, I know.
she gives you a very
wild, yeah.
grave look, and she doesn't quite understand clearly what you mean, but there is an added level suddenly to what you're discussing that is even more horrifying than she had perhaps considered before. But she looks at you and, I mean, if you believe such a thing would work, by all means.
I reach into my bag and get out the 2 skulls.
She just...
Yes,
Well...
These perhaps demonstrate my point of the creatures involved, and perhaps would make lovely centerpieces if we could convince the Eidelwhent. I mean, there are many good recipes of bone marrow. I myself have roasted it several times.
Really? Well, you will have to show me sometime. So you all believe that it is in my best interest to attend? Is that what you're saying?
If nothing else, when you are there, when we are there, it gives us a better chance to be able to potentially help should anything happen, or potentially look like it might happen to you or anybody else.
Or are we putting her in harm's way because literally anyone could be controlled to do this? We're not just talking about creatures, we're talking about potential servants or guests. Anyone.
That is true. However, a protective detail with the lady would be the best way to go. Otherwise, leaving her alone in this big house with the city watch to protect her, I don't fancy her odds there.
I also have to say, rather selfishly, while you are here, and indeed, you seem to have shown up the city watch quite a bit, and you have, certainly to me, proven your deductive skills of reasoning, but I should be the first to point out that the party is still 2 days away. That is 2 days where I assume I am in danger.
Sleep over. Sleep.
Yes, which brings us...
True, we need a combination.
Sleep over.
Free bed, free.
So out of game, there's a couple of things that I'm thinking. We could either all return to Lord Thomas's manor, or to Eidelwhent Manor, or we could all stay here and go there tomorrow. That way, in the day, the lady will be much safer. However, in the night, if we were to split, I don't know how that goes, because obviously there's already been one attempt on her life. He might then, or whoever's behind it, might actually send another bone claw, because we don't even know how many there are. Might send another bone claw in the existing mirrors that are not destroyed, and they're still gateways.
Can I just ask, Ed, the mirror in the boys in Nikolai's room was covered, right?
It was covered, yeah.
So, I think maybe we should get rid of the mirrors. But yeah, I think let's stay here, and
okay.
It's late now, right? It's like
yeah.
Yeah, it's probably around 9, 10 now, I imagine.
Yeah, and Billy, I think you're assuming that we're able to get into the party, but we haven't invites. We haven't.
Yeah,
but we have 2 days.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We have time to get ourselves in that position, but more so, I'm thinking we have 2 days to get more information, dig a little deeper, and potentially find who's doing this, so we have a much better idea of what to look for at the party.
Lady Severille, Would you be welcome to us staying here with you to ensure your protection for the next few days?
Yes, of course. Would you require money, or I'm happy to pay for your services to keep you on retainer if you would like. I'm not
that
really
would be very suitable.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
I'm not entirely sure how this works. So, but yes, of course, we can figure out a figure. Unless you, of course, you have a going rate now.
Let's sleep on it first of all. Tonight, let's get some rest. It's been quite an ordeal for you tonight, so let's get some rest and think about it in the morning.
Of course. Well, I will try and show you to your rooms. I forget where the guest rooms are. We haven't used them in so very long, but I'll take you to them. Follow me. And she stands and she makes her way out of the dining room, and eventually she shows you there are a number of guest rooms, enough for one each, as it happens, and each of them not very well kept. The sheets are very well made and clearly just have been left, but for a while. And it is dark and it is cold. No fires have been lit in any of the rooms. But she just walks in and just, there you go. You may boil some water in the kitchen if you require a bath. There's baths. Over there, and
We'll station 2 of us outside of your room and swap over in the night.
Yeah.
And just to give you warning, we will be destroying all of your mirrors.
Is that wholly necessary?
Yes, absolutely. And then I start
It is.
going around to get them. Gonna do what I did in the last house and just gather them, then just chuck them out the back door.
You're just watching as Lady Severille, just kind of almost tennis style, is just watching as Terra just walks in and out of the house.
I just turn over to her and say, it is necessary because the creatures we mentioned earlier can potentially they can travel through mirrors and show up. So it is. I'm sorry, but it is for your own protection.
There's
I
one
enthusiastically try and help, but obviously because I'm not very strong, I only take the little mirrors that I discovered.
There's a final just outside, and as you're walking out, you can see the remaining 3 City Watch are just stood there and similarly just looking up, down at the broken mirrors, down at the broken mirrors as they just.
I'm just going to give them a little.
And I wave at Rivers and go, "Hi, Rivers."
Hi. Yeah, you do you. And they just go back to standing on guard. But
some of them went to take
2 of them
Svetlana
left,
out.
yeah,
Okay,
so there
cool.
are 3 remaining.
Yeah.
And yeah, eventually the mirrors are all disposed of, and it is a large house, so there is a sizable heap of just broken reflective glass and framing just on the snowy ground of the garden. As Lady Severille goes to bed and bids you all good night and says, I will see you in the morning, and I'll have some breakfast ordered in. Good night. She heads to bed.
We definitely got the mirrors out of her room, right?
You did, yeah. Zini from earlier was able to sort of show you where they all were. But so who would like to take the first watch?
Should we do it in sort of pairs as much as we can? So I'll go first.
I'll go with
I'm going to sit
Yeah.
with my back against her door.
Okay, so you 2 are going first. Who wants to take the second watch?
I think myself and Scarlet will take the second watch, if that's okay with you, Scarlet.
Fine by me.
In that case, Juliet is going to take a much-needed nap.
Yes, she needs it.
Yeah. First off, Terra and Zini, would you like to make perception checks for me, please?
This roll is so unsatisfactory. 9.
9.
So,
My passive is 21, just as a reminder.
So the house is quiet, and as you sit there, elements of it you hear sort of creak a little bit in the wind, and outside you hear a blizzard begin to start back up. Is there anything you want to do while you're sat in front of Lady Severille's door?
I take out the invitation, which I still have, even though it's hers. And I read it really slowly, and then I'm like, what is a banquet?
Oh, it's lots of food. So they cook loads, and then we'll bring it out in courses, and there'll be multiple each. It can be anything from usually 8 courses up to 20, depending on how extravagant the noble wants to be. But yeah, it's a gastronomic nightmare.
I have to ask Scarlet about these banquets. Banquet. That doesn't look like it says bank. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's banquet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It also says the Griffin Theatre Players and a live orchestra.
Orchestra, yeah. So that'll be actors and musicians.
That's interesting. Maybe we can look into that, and that might be our way in.
Well, I was thinking about that. Depending on whether Lady Severille is allowed to bring servants or bodyguards, I thought perhaps Dalifar and Oriana would fit the bodyguard description. Obviously, Scarlet would do best in the kitchen, but I'm not sure how to get her in there. Whether Lady Severille is eccentric enough to justify her personal chef overlooking her food. And then I thought perhaps you could get in via invisibility. But then the only one that I couldn't think of a way in is me, because undoubtedly I'll be a little bit too clumsy.
Don't you play an instrument?
I do, but I don't know whether the players would let me, or the orchestra would let me just randomly walk in. Usually it's a bit more organised than that.
Well, we could organise something.
I suppose.
I liked this idea Scarlet was mentioning about a play that shows the murders happening.
The theatrical.
I wonder if we could do something like that.
Well, we'd need to talk to the players then. They'll probably have already rehearsed something.
Did our friend, the playwright, already leave?
He would have left today.
We could have commissioned him to write a very specific play.
It serves you all right.
We even have the costume.
Well, you would remember that the Griffin Theatre Players, or at least the Griffin Theatre, is a name that you have heard before.
Yeah, that's the people that didn't want to give credit for...
Yes.
Quiver Pike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought sending him away was a good idea.
Oh, it was a good idea. We didn't know then. I just put the invitation back.
Okay. So, the rest of your watch continues, uneventfully. And eventually you go to wake Dalifar and Scarlet, and you each go to your respective rooms. So, Dalifar and Scarlet, would you like to roll perception checks for me, please?
Indeed.
God damn it.
Oh my gosh, well, look at this, guys. Natural 20.
Yeah.
Natural 20.
I got a 12. That was better, but not quite great.
Yeah.
So, as you're stood there, again,
Like,
very, very uneventful.
Accepting everything.
Although, Scarlet, you notice through the very, very thick oak doors that Lady Severille has, you do hear snoring. Quite heavy, surprisingly raucous snoring. But other than that, nothing else to see. Is there anything you want to do while you're... Yeah. Is there anything you want to do while you're on watch?
I sort of, after a while on watch, I just turn to Scarlet and say, "Are you all right after the incident we had with the Would I have known it was a werewolf at the time when we were in the cave?"
I think you deduced it. I think.
Oh, that feels so far away. It's only like
Been like 2 days.
Yeah.
Well, well, out of game. I mean, I think this is the only time that I've spent with Scarlet without anyone else being there.
Oh.
I mean,
think
realistically, it's been like a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to
Well-
us, it feels like months ago.
Oh my god, it was a long time
So
ago.
when you first started saying it, I was like, why are you asking about something that happened like...
When
No.
you went off screen, like a lot went down.
Yeah. It's been like 3 years.
I basically turn to Scarlet and say, "How are you after the caves? You seem to take it pretty hard."
Well, I won't deny that I was a little shaken. You perhaps might have noticed my manner was a tad different immediately after that wonderful incident that occurred. But yes, it is not nice, I think, to be reminded of certain things, and not nice, it is the same blood that runs through my veins, that runs through those cultist maniacs, in a sense, which is always wonderful to be reminded of.
Well, as much as I'd like to hope that there is just good in the world, I think we've both come across some situations where it is difficult to always hope for the best. But even so, we still dealt with it, and I hope it hasn't affected you too badly.
No, I mean, there was a part of me that just, considered dropping everything and going back to being a cook in Neverwinter, but, I have always valued my freedom and variety and the chance to learn and improve and hone my skills and see the world, so I think running away from that would be a step back in my regard. And to be honest, I am nothing like those men we fought down there. I have done a lot to separate myself from them, and to be honest, they have as much in common with you or Zini or Tara or Oriana than me, if I think about it clearly.
Of all of us, I think I worry about Oriana the most, because I think for her there's a lot that I do not understand, but she's clearly looking for something just like I am, and knowing that we have the shard and how much she wanted it, I worry for her, and for as much as she doesn't say a lot, she, I think, might need our help. And since she has fallen into Baldur's Gate, on something that I am looking to do, the least I can do is be there when she needs me. So I think for everyone in this group, there is a lot that we have been through in this very short amount of time, but at the same time, I think I feel more trusting because in every situation we have pulled together, be it a very dire situation, and I think I am really warming up to the idea of, I know Rihanna might not like it, but potentially just thinking of her as a friend.
Lovely to hear, Dalifar. After all, we are we're a good pack, a particular set of good adventurers.
Peculiar.
Yeah, peculiar is yes, another word for it. I have a great respect for Oriana, taciturn though she may be. She is perhaps the most sensible person I've ever met with very strong religious beliefs, so I very much hold her in high regard for that. And I would love to help her how I can, although knowing how the bone card will react to her religious symbolism, it perhaps might be her that is saving all of us in the days to come.
I was thinking the same, and I know that she tried to protect the boy, Nikolai, and I've not talked to her about how it potentially affected her, because I don't think she'll be that forthcoming with how she feels. So, for now, I'll just be there if she needs me.
It sounds very well thought out and sensible, Dalifar. I think we would all be much worse off without you.
I think we'd all be much worse off had we not met this group of people.
You might be right, Dalifar.
So the rest of your watch continues, and eventually you go to wake Oriana, and you go to your separate rooms. And Oriana, you walk on your own to go stand outside Lady Severille's door. Could you make a perception check for me, please?
Yeah. Also, can I just say I thoroughly enjoyed you guys talking about Mariana. It was great.
It's just nice hearing how amazing I am.
Great, and knowing that people think that I'm really cool.
and that I'm going to be their saviour.
Yeah.
So that is a 19.
19.
Nice.
So you stand in front of the door. You keep watch. And then from across the landing, you hear a scratching.
Is there a cat?
Coming around the corner, yawning a big old yawn and stretching her front four legs forward, Juliet just...
It is a cat!
Yeah.
just sort of plonks over to you, belly fat just sort of swinging from side to side, and her tentacles just droopily dragging along the floor behind her. And she just comes up to you and just...
I look to my left, I look to my right, and presumably see no one around.
No one seems to be around. You are alone with Juliet.
I ignore her for maybe 10-20 seconds, and then once I'm certain that nobody is around, I get down and I scratch her belly.
She just flops onto her back, splaying all 6 of her legs and just... And she stays there until eventually she falls asleep in front of you, still on her back, but like stretched in that weird way that cats do. And eventually, morning comes, and sunlight breaks through each of your windows, and you wake. And the comfiest beds you've been in a while, though you had to sort of throw the dust off a little bit, still very comfortable. Terra, as you wake and you look out of the window to see the sunbeams coming in, you see outside of the window a white raven on the sill, and it just looks through the window.
Has it got anything attached to it?
As you move closer, you can see that next to it is a small pouch.
I will go and take it.
So opening up the window, the raven just looks at you. And as you take the small pouch, you open it up and you see that inside there is 10 gold.
Okay.
And the white raven just... and then just flies off into the distance, over the spires and the roofs of Baldur's Gate.
Quietly shut the window.
Okay. So, as you all exit your rooms, what are you all doing?
Checking that she's still alive.
As you all come out, you see the doors to her room open, and much in the same shawl and bedrobe that she was wearing the previous night, you see with bedraggled hair, more so, and sort of just hunched over against the cold. It has to be said, it is very cold in this house. She just comes out and she goes, "Right, let's just get some breakfast before you go about your days." And she slowly...
I was like already down there.
Before
I'm
that,
already
before she does anything with ordering breakfast, I turn to Scarlet saying, "Scarlet, there seems to be a very full pantry and a kitchen going unused in the kitchen. Perhaps you'd like to try one of your breakfast recipes?"
Oh, thank you, Dalthar. I think I know exactly what to do. And I, like, crack my knuckles, like...
You go down, and as you do so, you can see Juliet lying on the landing in front of Oriana. And as you approach, you just see her just look up and just podge her way down the stairs next to you until eventually you make your way into the kitchen. What are you making for everyone?
Well, what food is there? That's quite important.
Make an investigation check.
While she's deciding, are there logs to light for a fire? Because I presume she would have a fire in the main room or the dining room.
There are fires in most rooms. It is a logistical nightmare, chimney-wise. But yes, there are fireplaces in most rooms. And you look, and round the back, you can see that there is a large pile of unused logs, all covered in snow.
I go out and get some firewood, and in the main room, in the big room where I presume we're going to be sat down to eat to accommodate all of us, I go and light that fire.
Okay. What did you roll, Jess?
17.
17. So, looking round the pantry, you can see that there is a prolification of different foods. You can see eggs, there's numerous breads that you can see have a bit of mould on them. They've been left out quite a bit. But, cutting around it, you could probably make something usable out of that. And there are a number of different fruits as well. Obviously, some of them doing a little less well. But, yeah, there is a good amount for probably a continental breakfast and or Faerunian breakfast, should you wish.
Yeah, I think I will go for sort of like a breakfast-style charcuterie board.
Okay, sure thing. So I'd say you're able to whip that up in a fairly decent amount of time. And eventually as you all sit down, this is brought out before you, and Lady Severille is, "Oh my goodness, I don't know whether my stomach will be able to take this. I've been subsisting on soup for the last however long it's been. Thank you very much, my dear."
No problem. It's very understandable. As a lady of your status, is not used to cooking for herself.
Well,
This is a welcome treat.
quite. I must say, I am looking forward to when this is all resolved. I do miss my servants, not simply because of all that they do for me, but I do miss the company immensely. I sent them away with 2 months' wages, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to resolve this as soon as. You do seem awfully determined. Well, let's tuck in then. And she starts to help herself. So, unless there's anything anyone wants to do over dinner, eventually it comes to an end, and the day is yours. What would you like to do?
What day is it?
It is the 19th.
No.
You need to go to Lower City, don't you?
Yeah.
Did we never went and stayed at the Dripping Tap, did we?
We didn't.
Ruddigan is just around the corner. But yeah, you did tell Granny Fungus that you would stay the night, and then you were never able to go to your room.
You probably think someone's dead.
She has more faith in you than that.
Mm.
So Ruddigan is still in Lower City, and the rest of you are at the northernmost point of the Manorborn district.
I think. Sorry.
I was going to say that I'll say to everyone, presumably we're all sitting eating breakfast together. I'll just say to everyone while I have a weapon to collect. But I'm happy to wait if necessary.
Well, I have a rhino to collect, so we could go together.
Suits me.
Where is the theatre? Is it upper or lower?
It's upper.
Okay.
We need to go and see the sergeant today.
Oh yeah.
What a good time.
I think before we all leave, we should formulate a plan.
Over breakfast, I turn to Lady Severille and say, well, would, as a small request, Lady Severille, could you perhaps, as Lord Thomas did for us, could you write us a letter of, in this case, employment for protection services for you? So that, because we have to go and see the sergeant of the watch to verify whom we are and what our business is in Upper City.
Yes, of course. I will go and draft something up, something akin to what Lord Thomas
Thank you.
did. And she heads off into the dining room, leaving you all on your own.
We're out of game. With all these employment contracts doing our taxes, this is going to be a real
Well, they're not technically employment contracts. They're just sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? When you vouch for somebody in their professional capacity.
Adult hall passes.
Yeah, you can
So
probably
that's-
you can consider that.
something like a reference or sort of a show of I, the undersigned, can vouch for the character of this person, like a doctor would do for you. So I think you're applying for like a visa or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed, would I know from previous jobs how much is usual to be paid for this kind of protection?
I mean, it sort of depends on the notoriety of those doing the protecting. But I would say for a group of 5, 50 gold a day probably wouldn't go
50
amiss.
gold between us.
Between you, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so we're talking about 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'll tell everyone that before she comes back in again.
Okay. I nod and just say, okay.
And also, while she's out, do we want to tell her what we're really up against, or do we all think it would be best to keep it?
I think she knows enough for now. It won't really do any good to know anymore.
Okay, well, we need to formulate some kind of plan.
Well, today the list of things we need to do are go see the sergeant. Oriana needs to go and pick up her weapon. Zini needs to go and pick up her Rodigan. Perhaps we should go and see Granny Fungus because we didn't show up last night. And what I was hoping to do was go back to the Eidelwhent Manor, and while we are still guests there, potentially look for any places that could be a secret room like we found at the temple, in any way, shape or form that the marrow glass could be stored.
Oriana, maybe you could try your detect magic again, and we could find the specific location ahead of the party.
Detect magic or locate object?
Locate object, sorry, yeah.
Object.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
And maybe we can find some ways in.
Well,
He had some ideas that we could use.
Lord, have we asked Lord Thomas if you just get us invited to the party?
We could try that first.
Yeah.
Yes, Lady Eidelwhent didn't seem completely averse to my dish idea. Perhaps it might be safer towards the Eidelwhents to case it as though Lord Thomas is a potential victim rather than a potential suspect.
We need to make sure that he thinks that we're not
Onto him.
at all suspicious. So we need to have a clear story of what we're pursuing.
I think just saying that we haven't found anything yet, but we'll continue looking into it and spend the day today and speak to the sergeant today, because that is what we are doing, but we have yet to find any more information.
We could... goodness, it's completely slipped my memory. Poor girl. But that poor girl down in the Temple of Gods. What was her family's name again?
Seth.
Perhaps we should say our suspicions lie along that family line, that perhaps some obscure relative.
I think that might point us to the fact that we may have found evidence of crime against that family. It'll give away our hand potentially, I think.
But you say the phone call was already sent against us. Some conversation was already heard through the narrow glass.
Yeah, we don't know how much they know, whoever's watching us through the mirror glass, because they can look at anyone anywhere. So we don't know how much they do know.
If it helps, we could apologize to Thomas and say that I was wrong to suspect him. I'm not the best of liars, but it's worth a try if he's as arrogant as we hope.
That all relies on the fact that he may not have heard our conversation last night.
I suspect maybe Elmin is the magic user behind all of this.
But didn't he come to Lady Severille's house at her invitation with Thomas?
Yeah.
It was
he
Lord...
has an alibi for that night.
But you could do... surely if it's magic, you can...
You can do it beforehand and be in somewhere else and then never be connected to the crime.
But would it be possible as well that the elder Eidelwhents are both in on it? And Elmin?
Potentially.
Because she was ill.
Yeah.
Potentially, yes. So we'll go and see them and see if we can get an invite into the party first. Check on.
Find where the mirror is.
Make sure Mary and Friedolf are okay. But I would also suggest potentially make an excuse to go to the bathroom, Terra, and using your invisibility to go and potentially find the hidden room. That might be an option. If today, yes, the more we know, the better.
That works for me.
Okay. So, Lady Severille comes back, and she hands over a letter of recommendation, and she says, "My name holds a lot of sway, especially around the Temples district. Hopefully, this will take you some way."
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Okay.
And with that, breakfast ends. You head out of Severille Manor. You see that there are more City Watch again, this time 4. 2 are the ones who went away with Svetlana the previous night. They're back. But they're standing watch. And as you head out into the upper city of Baldur's Gate once more, we will take a break. So we'll be back in a little bit, but in the meantime, stay well, and yeah, wash hands. Yeah. Right, we're going to go get some food. But yeah, we'll see you in a bit.
See you in a minute.
Hi, I'm Michael. I play Zini on Dungeon Manager. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter. And if you fancy it, chuck us a bit of money on Patreon. The link's down below. For now, back to the episode.
Welcome back. Hope you're all well. And yeah, we'll just jump right back into it. So, you have left Severille Manor, and you are on your way out into the streets of Upper City. What are you doing? Where are you headed? What would you like to do?
So, just to clarify, we are going to see the watch, but we don't have to do that until the afternoon, but we can do that first, I suppose.
We can do that first, because we're going to need to go to Lower City, aren't we?
Oriana is going to pick up her new weapon.
Yes.
Zini is going to get thingy, what's it?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Then
we're going to stop in on McFungus.
Granny Fungus.
To say hello. And then we're going to the Eidelwhents to locate the mirror, and then with the spell, but then hopefully also actually find it.
If they'll let us.
Well,
Potentially convince them to have a marrow-based dish on the menu.
yeah.
That's very important.
And somehow gain entry, but we could do that through
we need to ask them.
Or through...
we could just ask them.
Let's first just ask them, and then we can
Yeah.
figure out another way.
I think that'll be the best approach, because you don't get really. So.
Do I need to apologise then?
Maybe not, but...
Okay, I'll just not talk.
Apologise with your eyes. Not like that. That's not very...
Dragonborn eyes not good at expression, maybe?
Okay.
Or at least that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Also, while we're on the way there, we should not forget the main reason that we're here, which is that Osfargate is arriving tomorrow to do business. So we don't know whether that's actually happening before the party.
That's a good point.
So if we can get as much of this prep done today, so that we don't have to worry about it until we get to the party.
Yeah.
And then we can...
Also, I know obviously we want to know what kind of business he's doing here, but what are we hoping to gain from that, not interaction, but from tracking him?
Information.
About
about this first church and
okay. So
what's happening.
That's the goal. It's just information.
Yeah. To follow on with what we had last time. Yeah.
Okay. So also, because we're going to a ball, do we need?
Oh yeah, it's I think you would probably have all seen this.
Yeah.
I'll just read it to you out of game.
Cool.
So it says, the Eidelwhent family cordially invite you to a masked banquet at Eidelwhent Manor. So it's masked on Marpanoff 21st, 6 o'clock, with food provided by the inimitable, world-famous chef Hutan Beauchor, and entertainment from the Griffin Theatre players and a live orchestra.
So we need masks.
We do need masks.
And
that's another thing to do. I have a mask, so I'm fine.
True. And even posher clothes than we have now.
I mean, I'll probably just wear my
black clothes. Yeah, our plan for you is to be invisible anyway.
That's true. But if we get in legitimately, then we'll all go in legitimately, and then I only get an hour invisibility.
And if Oriana and Dalafar are bodyguards, it makes sense for you to stay in your armour. And Scarlet, it makes sense for you if you're able to.
But they will both
stay in your gear.
They'll both need masks because they're the two people I believe that Osfargate has seen.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Definitely Oriana. Not sure about Dalafar.
Oh no, Osfargate didn't see us. He heard us.
He's met Oriana though.
Yeah, so Oriana will need a mask.
He's met me.
He's met you, but he's not seen anybody else.
Well, no offence, Oriana, but do you think a mask would be enough? I haven't seen many lilac tieflings.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But if with me being there as a liability, then I'm quite happy to keep myself hidden.
Let's find out first if we can get all of us in.
Get us in,
and then we'll figure out.
Yeah.
The logistics
we need to disguise.
Yeah.
And I mean, in terms of us running these errands, Terry, if you're worried about time pressure, Oriana and I could go to the lower city, pick up her weapon, pick up Ruddigan.
See Granny.
Yeah, because Granny, I was the one who spoke to Granny yesterday, so I'm sure she'll be
saves the money on the fee.
Yeah, and I'm sure she'll be happy if I'm the one to apologise, because I'm the one who organised it. So
okay.
I will need to come with you and Oriana Zini because I need to go to the bank as well in Lower City.
Oh, okay. Where Ed?
Yep.
Where is the bank in relation to the weapon shop and the dripping tap?
So the weapon shop and the bank are quite close together. I believe they're in Heapside, which is close to the Wide. So it is actually quite quick to get there. In order to get to the dripping tap, you would have to arc round into the Steeps. So that's a little farther away.
Okay. That makes sense.
Maybe Scarlett and I could be getting masks for everyone just in case. Assuming they're not like specific type. I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe it's the kind of mask ball where you have to wear like a black mask or like this same one. I don't know. So we can risk it and just get us all some.
But I mean, masks are useful anyway.
Yeah.
And then if we check with the Eidelwhents and they do let us come and we need to get different ones, we need to get different ones. I can't think that they'd be...
We've got some money to spare.
Yeah, and I just can't think that they'd be ridiculously expensive.
We could perhaps check with the sending stone and also see how they're doing.
That's a good idea.
Right.
Okay. Do you want to do that? Nah. Oh, actually, I've got the sending stone, haven't I? The other one.
Yes, Mary has the other one.
We do that now, and then we'll split off into upper and lower cities.
Yes. Let's do that.
So, how many words can I have?
25.
Okay, so what do I need to do? Ask about what kind of masks? Is it worth me saying, could you ask the Eidelwhents if we can come?
Well, we're going to the Eidelwhents first, are we not?
No.
Oh, are we? I thought we were doing that later.
I thought the plan was go to the Eidelwhents, then go to the Sergeant, then go to Lower City.
We can
Because
do. I suppose I was just thinking if we find anything, it might be best to find it after we've sorted everything
I
out.
thought we were splitting up, so half of us were going to the lower city and getting the lower city things out the way, and the other half of us were going mass shopping.
Well,
And
Totally
then we all
careful.
meet at the Eidelwhent.
Yeah, and then we all meet in the Eidelwhent, and then I have a United Front go, party tickets, please. No.
but however, if we don't have an invite, then we won't need masks, really, will we?
That's still useful.
They're still very useful, yes.
We will need them if we get in another way.
True, but the only reason I say that is because we are very close to the Eidelwhent Manor anyway. So going there is not going to take too much time, and then we can just split off after that.
Yeah, I'm just worried that we might hit upon something and not be prepared for it. I think I like the idea of Oriana having her weapon.
Yeah, because it's going to make me pretty.
It's going to make her pretty.
It's going to make her pretty.
It's going to make me real pretty. Yeah.
Oh,
Ariana is already beautiful. I will not hear anything else. But also, it's useful because we'll have Ruddigan as well, and he may not be able to get through doors on the first try, but he will on the second.
And under my breath, Dalfa just goes, doors.
So, what do you do?
Okay.
I guess, so the three of you are all going to Lower City, so Scarlett and I have less to do. We'll probably mosey around, maybe do some mask shopping, see how expensive it is.
Yeah. And obviously we'll pay you back for the masks.
But do you want me to send Inkstone over to Mary now to check?
That's a good idea.
Also, do that first. I'd like to ask something of you, please, Sarah, as you're shopping.
Okay, hang on. Talk amongst yourselves while I write this out.
Scarlett, can you remember to make sure that my mask actually fits, like, my snout? Because my head is a different shape to everyone else.
I would assume they would do masks for all species. But
well, I don't know. I don't know how common dragonborn are in Baldur's Gate. I've only seen one, and he's unpleasant. Not that precludes them making masks for us, I suppose.
No, I will find you something very suitable for you.
Thanks, Scarlett. I trust you.
Yeah, thank you. Little does she know.
Betrayal!
Yeah, this is like,
Yes, sudden but inevitable betrayal.
So, are we also thinking that we'll show a united front by going to the guards all together?
I was thinking that would be the case, otherwise they might ask questions as to where everyone else has gone.
Yeah, they might be like, are you investigating whilst you should be here?
24 words.
Awesome.
Okay. And I'm checking this over with everyone before I do it, just in case I missed anything. We're hoping to attend party. What kind of masks would we need? We'll be stopping by later to ask Thomas for invite. All well?
All well?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah,
you can put in a taste,
Well,
I'm guessing. It's not just like, can we have invite to party all well?
Well, you could put is, because you have one more word.
Is all well.
Is
Why
all
not?
well.
Let's make it nicer.
All is well?
Yeah, and it's not like a telegram. They do actually hear her intonation.
Stop.
It's like composing a message to someone you like who's going, does this sound okay? No, do it like this.
Does it sound like me? I just...
Yeah, so I'll send that.
Okay. So there's a pause, and then we're okay. Last night was quiet. Any mask should do. Perhaps the more opulent, the better at these sorts of events.
Okay. My mask is not opulent at all, but it's fine.
Out of game, you could just shower it with like a lot of gold dust or something.
Yeah.
And stick a jewel on it. Oh no, you gave away the coat thing with the big jewels.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
two like diamonds, so I can't see.
I was thinking a ruby on the nose.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll tell everyone that.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps best to keep it to ourselves that Lady Severille was attacked last night. I'm hoping the watch won't pass it on that we were there.
I think it'll be only a matter of time before everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
So the quicker we move, the better.
So, as well as the opulent masks, do we need to build in getting some opulent clothing?
Yeah, should we just... I'll take all your sizes. And then I have the master with me, so...
Do we not still have, the clothing that we wore for the last fancy event that we were...
Yeah.
That was for the Salamander's Shuffle, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Nowhere, Ed, we made it clear that it is nowhere near fancy.
Opulent.
I don't feel like being opulent.
I don't know. I thought my outfit was pretty fancy, but
for underground gambling.
Yeah, I put on the coat when we got to Upper City, and Ed went, "Yeah, you look shabby in comparison to everyone here." And I was like,
"Yeah, maybe can you all give me a bit of money, please? Because I only have 420 gold, and I feel like we're going to be shopping in Upper City.
420.
We're going to be shopping in Upper City for these things."
I will give you 300 gold.
Wow. Would you like me to spend all of that, or
spend whatever you think is necessary?
And then if you all tell me what roughly you want, and then presumably when we buy it, you can just explain it to Ed.
You and Scarlett must decide.
Oh no!
Yes.
Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to do that?
I do.
I feel like Diani is like, please let me do it myself.
So long as it isn't green.
No green.
No green. Green clashes with my skin.
Okay. I'm actually writing this down.
I give you also 300 gold, and I ask Tara, could you also...
Why am I in charge of this?
Because
Scarlett is so clearly better.
Could you also get me some hair dye, any dark color, perhaps black or brown would be best, but also some fancy ribbons so that I can replace the ones in my beard and my hair, so I can be very different.
Okay. And you want an outfit and a mask?
Yes, please.
Everyone wants an outfit and a mask. Okay.
Yes, please.
Sort of out of game. Is there anything that not like a skin dye, but when people paint their skin, is there anything that might potentially be available that would
heavy duty makeup?
That wouldn't look totally fake.
Body paint.
Yeah.
The cosplayers use.
A disguise kit basically has that kind of thing in it, doesn't it? And I have a disguise kit.
You do have a disguise kit.
Yeah. So I would have stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, I'll also just say to Tara, after having heard Dalafar mention hair dye, I will shyly say very quietly, if you happen to find any dark red hair dye, that would be great.
I would like to check if I hear this.
Make a perception check. Dalafar's like the guy who's listening to everything and he's like, but that's none of my business. Always.
19.
Actually, sorry, can I correct it? Can I correct it from dark red to dark blue? Because I feel like that will match my skin tone better.
Yeah, sure. You overhear a little of this, Dalafar. The two of them just whisper.
I say nothing.
And I'll also just, and I will say this quietly, even quieter, is ask, do you happen to have a disguise kit?
Yeah, I do. Do you want it now?
No, but if I could borrow it later, that would be fine.
Good.
Thank you.
Fine is good.
Great.
So I don't have 300 gold, or however much everyone else gave you, because I've asked for some from the bank. So can I give you 50, and then if it becomes more than that, then I'll obviously pay you back later?
Yeah, of course. I'm
then,
really hoping it's not 300.
I'm really hoping it's not even
ridiculous.
50.
Yeah.
To be helpful, Zini, if you want to use some of mine for what you need.
Yeah, I can lend you from the others.
That's really generous. I'm hoping we won't need to do that, but thank you. And Scarlett, if you could, I'm kind of thinking in terms of what clothing I'd like, kind of baggy 3/4 trousers, kind of like harem panty but posh, and then a studded leather kind of bodicey thing with a hood, if possible. That's like just light fabric.
Scarlett looks slightly sceptical. But she says, I will try and see what they have for me.
As long
I do
as
not know what the fashions are like in Baldur's Gate, so...
if I could...
If our plan is for me to be a bard type person, I think that would fit. I don't want to be too posh.
Any cloak would be very helpful for me as well, please.
Oh,
And you're all happy with any kind of mask?
If you could get me a lion mask, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Could you get me a mask that just covers my face? Maybe...
Other than your body?
As in the whole face, not a half mask.
Yeah, you do have the half.
No, you need one of those body masks.
Just like a massive mask, so you're just like one big mask.
So you want just an eye mask, is that what you mean?
No, I want a full face mask.
Oh, you do want a full face mask?
Yes, not a half
guys,
mask.
It's a masked ball. You go as a mask. Smoking.
That's very good.
Okay, cool. Right. I think I have enough info.
It's been a while since we've done a shopping episode, so this is going to be fun.
Okay, so 3 of you head to the lower city, and 2 of you continue round upper city to purchase the things that you need. So, for expediency's sake, I will say that Dalifar, you're able to get your banking. Oriana, you were able to pick up your mall, and Zini, you were able to pick up Rudigan and inform Granny Fungus as to why you were not there last night.
Notice he's avoiding doing the voice.
And for the other 2 of you, I'd say there are clothing shops on display quite readily throughout Upper City, so it doesn't take you too long before you're able to find a suitable place, and you can see that a number of places do seem to be stocking masks, and as you're making your way around, you do get the impression that this is in anticipation of the upcoming ball. But again, for expediency's sake, I'll say that each outfit will put you back 20 gold, and each mask will put you back 15 gold.
Am I also buying stuff for myself? I don't know if I want to. I kind of feel like I really don't want to wear anything that's not just my plain white mask and black clothes.
I think is Terra just looking very uncomfortable?
Oh yeah.
Next to loads of masks.
I'm absolutely fine purchasing for other people.
Yeah. I think I look, and there's an owl mask next to some of the birds, and I go, I think this one might suit you, Terra.
But the thing is that I am thinking if I can wear this mask, then I could potentially look like anyone if I need to in an emergency. But maybe Janifar's right, I could just put some glitter on it.
I take the owl mask and put it over the other mask. What does it look like?
I mean, it comes out quite a bit from the face, especially on top of another mask.
Yeah.
But it's beautifully made. It's made from authentic owl feathers. You get the impression that, like, this is probably some kind of not stuffed taxidermied face. It's very realistic.
Is there... Can I buy, like, paper mache?
Not readily,
Okay,
I'd say.
never mind. Is there a raven mask?
Looking around, you can see, like, next to where Scarlet has picked up the owl mask from, there are a number of ornithological masks and a number of different bird species.
Can I, sorry.
No, I was just going to say you do indeed see a raven one. Black, but a raven.
Scarlet, if I could get the materials, how would you feel about doing some crafts while we're waiting for the others?
I can certainly give it a try. What are you thinking?
Well, I'd quite like to turn this mask just temporarily into a sort of white raven-y type thing. So a bit like so it's like a full face mask, but like to just bring out the top, so it's like, I don't know what I mean, but I'm thinking if I buy some white feathers and some stuff, we could stick it on.
Am I confident? I don't know how...
You did my makeup really well before.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just trying to think. You know what? Sure, why not? I would be honoured to tell us.
Great.
And some of these masks, you know, they could be made wholesale, you know. You might be the only unique mask among them.
Yeah. Can we study the black raven mask to see how it's made and what it looks like?
Well, seeing as Jess will be the one crafting, I would say if Scarlet makes a general investigation check at advantage.
I'll be helping. I don't have to have it on my face, do I, while she's doing it? So.
No. You'll just take it in and looking at the shape of it.
Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, well, the first one was terrible. The second one, that was 14.
Yeah, you're fairly confident that you've probably got this, you reckon.
The first one was a 2. Would have been a 5.
So can we buy some, like, materials?
I'd say that with the dye. Obviously, Terry, you're forfeiting the 15 gold for the mask, but I'd say it's probably, with the dye, probably 5 gold for feathers.
What's the dye? Is it a white dye?
No, it's for Dalafar and Ariana.
Oh, the others?
Yeah.
Oh, so is that... I thought that was included in the amount that you were saying it costs each of us.
No. So each of you has an outfit, 20 gold, and those of you having masks, 15 gold.
Okay.
And then, for the dye and everything, including the feathers, an additional 5 gold.
So how much are just the feathers? Because I'm not buying their dye.
I'd say it'd probably put you back 5 silver, maybe? You're getting a very specific kind of feather, so...
Okay. Have you guys written down how much your dye was?
Well, I'm the only one getting dye for my hair. And your
no, Oriana is as well.
Oriana is as well. Well, mine amounts to about 40 gold, because the 35 for the full outfit plus the 5 for the dye, that makes it. Is that including like the fancy ribbons and things that I?
Yeah, I'd say we'll deal with the maths afterwards.
Okay.
But that's roughly how it comes to.
So
I've
40
just
gold
got
for me.
10 gold and I'm spending it again.
It's capitalism for you, you know. It's exciting. Lovely. Was there a lion mask for Zini?
Yeah, there's sort of a number of animal-themed masks. Okay, so after that, where are you meeting after this?
Somewhere along the way to the Eidelwhent, but probably not at the Eidelwhent.
Okay, so after your respective time in each part of the city, you eventually meet once more on the streets of the upper city. And as the three of you approach, you can see Scarlet laden with various bags. And Juliet is sort of walking along very proudly. And Terra looks a little befuddled by the whole thing, but yeah.
Well, looks like you guys bought a lot.
You asked for a lot.
That is true.
I think we will all look very dashing at this ball. I have no doubt of that.
Right. I'll help you with Scarlet as I help over some of the bags.
So what's our plan going in?
Are we going to the Eidelwhent Manor first or to the Sergeant first? Sorry.
Depends what time it is, because we had to go to the watch.
Yeah.
I'd say by this time it's probably around midday. I'd say after all of your tasks are...
Should we maybe go to the watch first so that we're not late for that, just in case?
Let's do that then.
On the way, can I see Oriana's new weapon?
Yes, so, I mean, I'm happy for you to describe it, Diani. After all, you're the one who commissioned it, so...
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is a maul, and there isn't, aside from the fact that it looks particularly shiny because it's new, the only really kind of distinguishable thing about it is, not that this was necessarily something that was talked about when I went and bought the weapon, but I imagine that this is something that she would have asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Is there's the symbol that she has on the amulet on the hilt of it.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, of course that's okay.
Is it like a big, heavy two-handed thing or one-handed?
It's a two-handed, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And my old weapon did 1d6 damage, and this one does 2d6.
Hefty boy.
Hefty.
So, you're headed to the watch?
We are.
Lovely. Okay, so continuing on through the streets of Upper City, you eventually come to the edge of the district. And in front of you there is a large gate. It is open, but in front of you it is like stepping into Lower City once more. And unlike the very ostentatious architecture of temples and Mannerborn, the buildings that line the streets are a bit more humble. They're no more than 2 stories in height. And it's quite a small district, so much so that you can actually see the outer wall of the city around it. It's no more than maybe 20, 30 buildings wide. But towering over all of the houses and shops, you can see a large fortified building of white stone and blue roofing, and the flag of Baldur's Gate is flying from its top. And you see that even this building, within this walled community, it is walled and patrolled by numerous members of the Watch. This is the Watch Citadel. And as you move through the district, you can see various blacksmiths and a couple of shops, still a little more ostentatious than areas of Lower City, but very much more down to earth. The people that you see seem to be sort of workers. They seem to be people who are craftspeople. And as you get nearer to the Watch Citadel, you can see vast swathes of green, and you can see at either end different sort of arrow targets made of hay. You can see training drills and horses being ridden around a track. You can see basically the day-to-day of the training of the City Watch. And you can hear chants and marching filling the air, and beyond you, you can see the Watch Citadel. It's fairly square in design, reaching up several stories with arrow-slit windows, perfect for defense, and battlements around its edges, and you can see banners displaying the flag of Baldur's Gate hanging from its front.
Okay.
It is an impressive building.
Best if you take the lead. Especially as you have both the bits of paper, right?
I do, yes. So, I start to... so, do we actually know where we need to be going, or is there just... I assume there'll be a sentry or something nearby.
Yeah, all you know is that you need to report to Mariah Lambert.
Mariah Lambert, yeah. I find the nearest sentry and ask for directions to see Sergeant Mariah Lambert. Right.
They direct you into the foyer area, sort of the main entrance of the Watch Citadel.
I'm just going to really quickly whisper it to Dalafar as we approach. So, what are we saying about the sewer thing?
I was thinking that we do our plan and come clean, and that we're not actually sewer workers. We have done sewer work, which is not a lie, but we are not actually sewer workers.
Okay. And hopefully they'll be okay with the fact that we didn't tell them that at first.
I hope so, but hopefully I don't have to persuade her that we're not lying.
We could maybe say that we were saving the reputation of the Eidelwhents because they didn't want it to be public knowledge that they'd employed someone.
That is true. We'll try that.
So, as you approach and enter through the large double doors outside the front of the fort, you enter what looks to be a foyer of some kind, and opposite you there's a desk. And the banner of Baldur's Gate hangs on numerous walls, and stairs reach off to various areas in the fort, and you can see uniformed guards ascending and descending in equal measure. And eventually you are able to find a guard who points you in the direction of Mariah Lambert's offices. And you have to go up a couple of flights of stairs, sort of 2 stories worth, until eventually you find yourself in a long stone corridor with a large brown oak door to one side, and displayed on this, embossed in the door, is Sergeant Mariah Lambert. The words, not the person.
Take a turn.
I go up to the door and knock 3 times.
Come in.
And I open and go inside.
Going in, you can see Mariah sat behind a large, heavy wooden desk. It's a fairly small stone room with a number of lanterns around the outside, and you can see an arrow-slit window just off to one side, and this is the only bit of natural light that comes in. But you can see around the desk there are a number of different cabinets and a couple of sort of filing pigeonholes as well. But she sits there and looks up at you. Ah, yes. So, sewer workers. Have you brought your paperwork?
We have some paperwork to hopefully put this matter to rest. And I produce the papers.
She looks at them. These don't appear to pertain to sewers.
No, and whilst we have done work in the sewers before, we were on business to see a member of the Eidelwhent family. One of our party knew them, and because of the murders, we were checking on their safety, and this is where we happened upon the incident that we met you at.
Were you checking in on Lady Severille's safety last night?
Yes.
It seems odd to me that a group that I do not know, not from Upper City, are found at 2 crime scenes in as many days.
Found at 2? We were found at 1, at which we, unfortunately, were unsuccessful in fending off the creature that took Nikolai's life. But at the second, your guards were already there, so we were not found at that one.
She stands and she goes over to the arrow-slit window and just looks down. And you can hear the sound of orders and shouting and marching below. She turns around to you. I make it my job to know when people are lying or not. And I do not believe you are. But that leads me to ask, who are you? And why do you have such an interest in this case?
As I said, the family that were attacked was part of the Eidelwhent family. And one of our party does know that person, and they have a history. Of more, I cannot divulge because obviously it is not my story to tell. However, we happen to be in the right place at the right time, and for their safety, because we can't guarantee that this won't happen again, we're doing what we can to put it to rest.
Would you be willing to share the information you have with the City Watch?
We don't have much. I don't think more so than what you have at the moment. But believe me, if there was any way to end this by sharing anything that we could potentially get, I would do so.
If it helps sway your mind, the fee for information pertaining to these murders has gone up as of this morning. The Eidelwhents have very kindly donated some of their gold to help incentivize people around the city to potentially give us anything they know. So if you do know anything, now would be the time to share it.
How much has it gone up to?
500 gold.
500
A
gold.
small amount.
For information?
For information.
Well, I'm sure that you have more resources than we do, and we are a small group and doing our best to look into the matter as well to find some more information, but of course not interfere with your investigation.
This Captain Stockman in Waterdeep.
Yes.
You say you did some work for him. What sort of work?
I'm sure you can tell by our attire that we obviously are not sword workers, but we are rather adept at solving difficult problems that potentially the Watch cannot do on its own. And to save some of those members of the Watch potentially from getting hurt, we volunteer our services. And in doing so, we bring in an end to whatever we can. Potentially, usually it's of a dangerous nature, and we tend to be quite adept at dealing with such matters.
Worthy goal. Look, there are people that I answer to. I'm in charge of this investigation, but we've been drawing blanks since day one. Any additional help is useful, but I cannot condone people who are not of the City Watch going around doing City Watch business. I hope you understand that.
I do.
Now, we can potentially come to some kind of agreement.
What do you have in mind?
You share everything you have with us. We take it from there.
What's in it for us?
You can take the gold for the information.
If we were interested in gold, we would have come to you and given you a straight request to join the investigation. Gold doesn't hold that much weight when it comes to people that are personally involved in the investigation.
In which case I have to ask you not to investigate this any further.
It sounds like that would have been the case anyway.
How do you mean?
Well, you either pay us off and then we don't investigate further, or you don't pay us off and we don't investigate further.
Ultimately, you are civilians. Very well trained and very capable civilians, of that I have no doubt. But unless you choose to work with us in an official capacity, I can hire you, if that is what you're after, but you have to answer to me.
What would that mean exactly?
You go where I tell you to.
Sounds like that hasn't worked very well for anyone so far.
And we're not very good at taking orders.
She gives you all a look, and perhaps you're right. I already feel there is too much blood on my hands. We have not done enough. But I still answer to people. People who will not take kindly to me indulging freelancers.
Only if they find out that you are indulging us. Plausible deniability means that we give you information when we have it, and nothing more, and you make the arrest and put an end to these murders sooner rather than later. It seems to me the investigation has been going on for a very long time now, but in the space of 2 days, we were able to foil at least one for the most part, and be there to save Lady Severille on the second occasion. Who knows what we can do in 2 more days?
Make a persuasion check.
Can I help?
I'd say you've made a collective argument. Yeah, roll at advantage, Billy.
Persuasion.
Yep.
I rolled an 11 both times.
She looks at you.
Do you have +0?
I have +0 on persuasion.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and intimidation as well. I'm not very intimidating.
She looks at you, and while she sort of sits in silence, there's a knock on her door, and she looks up, and a guard steps in and just... High Sword Gideon would like to see you in his office. Yes, give me a moment. The door closes and she turns back to you. Information. That is my compromise. You may observe, but you may not. And I repeat this, and she looks at each of you emphatically. You must not act unless you put it past me first. Do you understand?
Can you just clarify what you mean by act?
Breaking and entering. For example.
What happens hypothetically if we happen to be set upon on our tour around the city? We would prefer to defend ourselves.
There are no weapons allowed in the streets of Upper City, as I'm sure you are aware. So long as you are in your own residence, which I assume you have procured, a place to stay within Upper City. You may defend yourself however you wish. However, I will not have you barging into other people's homes and drawing your weapons in there. For one, it doesn't necessarily help a situation to have more weapons in the room, and secondly, like I say, you have been found at 2 crime scenes. Regardless of how you frame it, that is suspicious. Now, just because I am inclined to believe you, and the word of Mary Eidelwhent, does not mean that I can necessarily convince others to see you through the same lens.
That is fair enough, but...
Except that we weren't in the city for the other murders.
As far as I'm aware.
But it is correct, we were not in the city. However, should we be in our place of residence and trouble ensues, we are within our rights to protect ourselves, correct?
She leans forward. Look. Up until a night ago, I believed what everyone else did. That this was an uprising. A class dispute gone awfully wrong. However, the night that you are in Baldur's Gate and the morning that I met you, I see remains on the floor of something that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is not mortal. Is neither human, elf, dragonborn, tiefling, or otherwise. that means there is another element to this case, frankly, one which I am ill-equipped to deal with. It seems to me you might have a little more expertise in this. Do you have anything you can offer me to help?
It sounds to me like you understand the situation relatively well, and so I'm surprised that you're happy to let us just observe when this is clearly a situation where observation does nothing. And really the most effective solution is to stop the perpetrator in any way.
Do you have any idea as to way the people being targeted are being targeted? Is it random?
I mean, I think it's fairly clear. Is it not?
Lady Severille came to us some time ago, accusing, and I say that in no uncertain terms, Lord Eidelwhent. I looked into him, he checked out. As far as I'm aware, he is not a suspect. I am making sure that my men in the manor are keeping watch on him at all times. However, as I understand it, he is due a guest tomorrow. I do not know what that means, but I don't know if that means they are in danger as well. Frankly, I am as much in the dark as you are. The people at this meeting are my only lead at the moment, but that does not connect them to the servants.
That may be true. Hypothetically speaking, we have not been in Baldur's Gate for very long, but we do have some expertise in dealing with difficult situations. I would, if I were in your shoes hypothetically, I would not immediately dismiss everything that the investigation has brought up so far. Potentially there is more in the investigation, because ultimately, if there has been a murder, there is usually a motive. There is usually a reason why. And there is usually connections between all the evidence that you gain. So hypothetically speaking, everything is still on the table and no one can be particularly dismissed as not being a suspect.
Especially when magic is concerned. Now, I'm not particularly familiar with magic myself, but I'm also aware of the fact that you do not have to be in one particular place for it to be effective.
She takes you all in and just... I apologize if it sounds like I am contradicting myself. But bureaucracy being what it is, she looks at all of you. For 2 days. I understand that there are many parties who are worried about the upcoming masked banquet at Eidelwhent Manor. Obviously, not everyone is privy to the information that all of us within this room seem to have. They do not know that people are being targeted for a reason, apparently. As far as everyone else is concerned, these are random killings, and we are not going to let the public know otherwise until it has been confirmed and until the culprit is caught. We don't want people to become lax just because they believe they are not targets. But I think because the party will bring together so many of the families of Upper City, people naturally want it wrapped up before that. If you can do anything on your end, I will turn a blind eye for 2 days, and that is it. Do you understand?
2 days.
You have made a very compelling argument, and understand me when I say that I am going above and beyond in allowing this. Do you understand?
We understand.
I hope you understand my position as well.
Hypothetically, if anything were to go wrong, your hands would be clean because you have neither hired us and you have told us not to investigate in your capacity as a sergeant. So, theoretically, we are an unknown entity and with no real ties that can be proven to you. As far as everyone else outside is concerned, we came here because you asked us to, because you were looking into people you've never met before. Nothing more than that. So, with all things considered, nothing would really point the finger at you in any official capacity to say that you are at fault. So 2 days, if the matter is wrapped up in that time scale and brings a satisfactory culprit, then you have nothing to gain but all the credit for it.
She stands. In that case, in my official capacity, I advise you do not pursue the matter further.
Understood.
Report back to me if you do find anything.
I smile and nod.
Then we'll talk gold. She stands. Well, thank you. All of your papers appear to check out. I will lead you to the exit now, and I must dash. I have a meeting, I'm afraid. And she stands and opens the door and ushers you all out.
As I'm going, I just sort of say very quietly, I will be very interested to know who that guest tomorrow is, if you happen to come across that information.
She looks at you. We will see. And she closes the door behind her, nods a curt farewell to all of you, and disappears. Yes?
Can I also, like one after each the other, like whispering to her, can I also lean in and very quietly just say to her, be careful with Gideon, and then leave.
She just looks at you, watches you leave, and eventually turns and goes down the corridor.
Just to clarify also, so she wants us to solve it before the party.
2 days. Sorry, done.
2 days is before that, right?
Yeah, so you've got today, tomorrow, and then the party is the following day.
Okay, so I'm going to say to the others as we leave, very quietly so that none of the watch around us can hear, I'm concerned that if we resolve this too quickly, it might disrupt our plans to see a certain figure.
Well, we can get the information to her before their party, but advise her to allow the party to continue, if that makes sense, so that we can still have access and do our objectives, but also stop this from going any further.
Okay, as long as that doesn't give him time to get rid of any evidence or anything. But... Okay. Well, I think that went well.
Yeah.
Well done, Galifar. Oh, sorry.
I'm not. It's 5 foot tall. It's not that short.
So, what are you all doing now?
Well,
Eidelwhent Manor?
I think it's time to
the Eidelwhent.
totally not investigate at all.
Just go.
Yeah.
Just go to the Eidelwhent Manor and just be tourists and not investigate?
Yep. Oh, we've had a rest, haven't we? So I can...
Oh yeah. Oh god, I
Yes.
am back up to full strength.
Yeah, you've all had a long rest.
Oh, yeah. Because I literally took 20 hit points.
You took a lot of damage.
So, that's nice to have that back.
Yeah, so we're going to the Eidelwhent Manor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you looking for something, Michael? Or
Just looking at dates.
yeah. So it's the 19th today. Osterfargate is arriving on the 20th, and the party is the 21st.
Yeah, it's just I feel like for some reason that it's been the 19th twice, but I don't know why.
No, it hasn't.
Did you put the date as the 19th because that was last week?
No, it's just me getting confused.
Leonie would know because she's been waiting for this.
Every single session that we've had, I've been like, "Yep, it's the 18th."
Still.
Still the 18th. Yep, still the 18th. Still the 18th. Oh my God, it's the night of the 18th. Okay, now it's the 19th. Let's get the weapon. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah. I've been tracking it very closely. From here on out, who knows what day it is.
Lovely. So you're headed to Eidelwhent Manor? Or-
Yeah. Are we? Let's not go in yet, though.
Well, we're heading that way. We're not
Yeah.
going in specifically.
We
yet.
need to maybe locate the object outside if we can. How long does it last? Is it only a minute? 10 minutes?
Locate objects. How long does it last?
Oh, sorry, 10 minutes.
Okay.
We could start
You can use it a
outside
few
and
times,
walk
can't
in.
you? So maybe we could use it once outside. Try and pinpoint it a bit.
Yeah, because I've got, if I don't use any other level 2 spells, I've got 3 uses of it, because we've had a rest. So I can use it 3 times. So even if
Okay, we'll try and not. But yeah.
I think with the duration, you could start outside and then just go into the house.
Yeah,
and realistically, you can
room.
walk quite far in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how big the house is.
Okay. Yeah. So we go towards Eidelwhent Manor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's the plan that I'm going in with everyone, or I guess it depends where. Let's find out where it is first. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Solid plan.
Okay.
Okay, so you head on your way to Eidelwhent Manor, walking through the streets as snow softly falls around you. The blizzard from the previous night sort of dampened a little bit. And eventually you find yourself again outside the very large and very impressive Eidelwhent Manor. City Watch still outside, and you can see the long path down to the main entrance.
Okay. Are there guards around?
Yeah, there are sort of a similar detachment to the one that you saw outside Lady Severille's.
Would it seem like we'd be allowed to just walk the grounds around the house?
Sort of around the fencing that surrounds it.
Just walk the grounds of the manor.
So that Oriana's within range.
Oh yeah, you could very easily sort of, because remind me of the range of it again. It's 1,000 feet,
1,000
isn't it?
feet.
Yeah, it's 1,000
Crazy.
feet. Yeah.
So you'd be able to get
Look
it
at me in the other
from.
city.
Just to out of game. Cat Terra. Cat Terra.
Terra.
For the invisibility spell that you have, is that specifically you're only able to cast that on yourself?
I believe I can cast it on other people. Let me just double check.
You can because you cast it on me.
I have done it. Yeah.
You've done it. You've cast it on
Well, I
me.
hope I can.
And I'm just thinking, if we want to find this, because obviously, if I'm outside, I wouldn't be able to find the specific location within.
Should we both go invisible?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't take more than an hour, because then I can't cast it again on either of us, because I only have 2.
Well, I mean, the locate object only lasts 10 minutes anyway, so we probably need
so
to
let's
find
just do
it.
locate object first.
Yeah.
Around, and then we'll, depending on where it is, we'll
Yeah.
actually do that.
So, as you walk around the perimeter of the estate, you cast locate object, and again, Oriana, but even more so this time, there is a burning inside of your head like a compass. And as you walk around, you get the impression that it is above the first floor of the house. And there are only the ground floor and the first floor.
Above it, like in the sky.
As in, there is roofing above this.
Or it might be like in the attic.
Do we get a sense of like left, right?
As you're walking around, you get the impression that it is probably on the right-hand side of the building. And Oriana, as you look up, you can feel this throbbing behind your eyes as you look in the direction. It is towards the center right of the building.
Okay.
We haven't been upstairs in this building at all, have we?
No, you've only been downstairs.
Okay.
Okay, shall we go inside?
Yes. Maybe it would be good if you three could distract them in the other side of the house.
And Dalifard just turns to Scarlet very jokingly and said, "So about that fire."
Oh no, this place is far too nice.
I will not rise to it.
The Eidelwhents, do they have servants still?
A lot, yes.
Okay, bear with just a second. How long does this guy's self last?
It's a while, I think. I think it might be an hour. I believe.
It is an hour. Okay. Right. And I have 1 or 2 uses of that day too, right?
With your mask,
Yeah.
you have 2 uses, yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. The 3 of you go in as yourselves and get us invites, hopefully, to the party. Or whatever, just talk and stuff. Oriana will go invisible. I will disguise myself as one of the servants. We'll walk in together. Well, you won't be visible, but we'll walk in together and then try and find this attic space.
When you disguise yourself as
As one of the specific servants that I've seen, hopefully.
what if they are working and you run into yourself?
Hopefully that won't happen. But that's what invisibility is for. The second one.
Pretend that you're a mirror.
No, because they're all covered up.
Yeah, but
Hopefully.
It'll be fine.
Don't want to try and
Okay.
smash it.
Okay.
Or I could just go invisible too. I don't know. What do you think, Oriana?
Can we both go invisible at the same time?
Let me check.
No,
I don't think so.
it's a concentration spell.
Oh, yeah.
I think that...
So I'll have to do disguise self. Unless you want to wear the mask.
It probably makes more sense for me to go invisible, given the fact that I am probably very recognisable.
Okay.
And you are so good with makeup.
I mean, it's not makeup.
So good with makeup. And you have proven before that you can disguise yourself. I am not so confident in my own abilities because of these horns.
Okay. I'll put the mask on and can I make myself look like one of the servants that I've seen?
Yeah, I'd say make a retroactive perception check to see how well you saw the servant.
Oriana, did you tell us where you felt the presence of the mirror?
Yeah, we were all stood together at that point.
Yeah,
weren't we?
okay,
So, yeah.
Okay.
16. Yeah, I'd say you're able to put together a fairly good recall of the servants that you saw, and you're able to find one that probably fits your size, probably best so it doesn't sort of look too off.
Okay, and if they happen to have some kind of cloak type thing, I'll just make sure that I hide my face a bit so that...
It is mostly just sort of green clothes with white aprons from the waist down. So,
okay. No hat.
I'm sure they'll have like spares in the house somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, let's go quick.
Okay, we go in.
So you make...
Yeah, invisible. Do that first. Cool.
So, as Terra changes her appearance in front of you and then reaches a hand out to Oriana, who just disappears in front of you, the now four of you slowly make your way towards the entrance of Eidelwhent Manor. You knock, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, we just walk.
Hey everyone. You walk in and you knock on the door and there is a moment and then it opens and in front of you, once again in his green jerkin, you see Elmin stood there. Oh, you're back very soon as well. Please come in. Please.
Thank you. We enter.
Closes.
Can you work out why he might be hesitating?
Yeah, make an insight check.
That is cocked. That is the same roll though, so it's alright. It's 17.
17. I'll message you.
Cool.
But yeah,
Virtual whispers.
he slowly ushers you into the main hall.
I'm assuming we're following after them.
Sorry, I'm just typing as well.
Yeah, no worries. But I'm thinking, I'm thinking as well because I can look at someone like while talking and get some.
What?
Yeah, outside of battle, I can look at someone for a full minute in discussion, and I can get a general sense of something.
Oh yeah.
I forget what I think
You can you can get like their stats and
Yeah.
strength and stuff.
Challenge ratings.
HP, yeah.
Remember when you did that for Mikey and I was like,
just a guy.
like an 8?
So what were the
Do that for Thomas.
I was going to do it for Elmin because
Elmin.
I've talked to both.
Yeah.
Elmin, what were the 3 criteria? Because I need to find that. Sorry.
What's it called? It's like part of the fighter.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you could get like a couple of their stat things.
I am going to very quickly look at that, and in the meantime, we just walk in, and I'm just trying to recall from memory.
So as you walk in, Elmin just gestures you to the main hall, and in front of you again there is the marble fountain of the bearded man with his hand on the young boy's shoulder, and the vast glass dome above you with the ornate chandelier below it. And Elmin turns to all of you and just, I will go and let the lord of the house know that you are here. Please wait here. And he goes up the stairs towards the right-hand side of the building, and you just see him on the balcony just knocking on the door, and there is a muffled "Come," and disappears into a door up top.
I found a thing for you, Billy.
Yes, please.
It's called Know Your Enemy.
Yes.
If you spend at least 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside combat,
Yep.
and learn certain information, the DM tells you if the creature is your equal, superior, or inferior in regard to 2 of the following characteristics, which you can choose, Billy. So the options are Strength score, Dex score, Constitution score, Armor class, current hit points, total class levels, and fighter class levels specifically.
Okay. In this, so much to choose from. All right, let's carry on. I'll just make up my mind in a second.
Okay. So is anyone wanting to do anything while they wait?
Can I pick up a pile of like dirty laundry so tall that it covers my face?
In the main hall, not a lot of dirty laundry.
A pile of like whatever, you know.
I mean, everything around the main hall has its place. Everything is ornamental. There are plant pots that are incredibly heavy and giant ceramic pots. There are a couple of like gold candelabrum and things like that.
How many rooms can we see upstairs?
Make a perception check for me.
8.
So, not a lot. Like the balcony that surrounds the main hall is very high up. You can just about make out the door that Elmin went into, and you can see its opposite on the other side as well. And you can just about see the tips of other doors that are lining. So you can see maybe 4 doors in total, I would say.
I would like to pick up a plant.
One of the big ones in the ceramic pots?
Yeah.
Make a strength check for me.
Strength or athletics?
Definitely strength.
Yeah. Okay. 12.
12. Okay. You go to lift this thing, and you see a couple of other servants moving through the space, and they see you sort of squatting over this very large ceramic pot, and you just doesn't seem to be budging.
Is there a smaller one that's still tall?
Not really. Everything around is very, very big and very tall. But as you stand there, you can see that a number of the servants are sort of giving you odd looks. You seem to be standing very still for a servant of the house, especially with these
I was
guests.
trying to lift a plant, but... okay, I look around for Oriana, realise she's invisible, and then start walking up the stairs.
Okay.
That was cute.
So as you're walking up the stairs, you can hear a door open, and as you make your way up, Elmin comes out, and the door shuts behind him, and you hear... He slowly walks past you, Jenny, and nods curtly to you before descending the stairs. And as he walks down, the rest of you hear him say, Lord Eidelwhent will be with you in a moment. He's just finishing up some work in his study. But please feel free to make yourself at home in the reception room, please.
Thank you.
Sorry, go after you.
Yeah, I was just admiring that statue out there. Could you tell me any more about it?
Of course. That is a statue of Lord Carmichael Eidelwhent, the father of Lord Thomas. It was gifted to him by the Guild of Sculptors for a piece he did for them a while back. I can't remember, before my time. But that there is little Thomas Eidelwhent.
Oh.
And it has been a piece of pride within the house for some time. We had to retrofit the entire hall around it, but it's remarkable, absolutely remarkable.
Yes, looks like all that work was certainly worth it.
Absolutely. Now, please, I shall get you some refreshments.
Ed, whilst Scarlett had asked about the statue, because they were discussing it, can I have been looking at it in an appraising way, but really looking at it in a, is there anything weird about it kind of
Okay.
way?
Make a perception check for me real quick.
That is a dirty 20.
As far as you can look, and you do look, you make your way around. As far as you can tell, it is solid marble. It seems to be fixed in place to the floor. It is spouting out bits of water from the rock beneath it and pooling itself into the basin. But yeah, it's a statue. A very intricately and very well-made statue, but nothing odd about it.
Okay.
As you are stood there, you hear a voice from above. Remarkable, isn't it? Gift to my father. I'm amazed to see you all back so soon. Please, let us talk more in the reception room. I am assuming you are here to see me, unless you would like me to fetch Mary.
No, we're here to see you.
Did he lock the door behind him when he came out of his study?
He did. You see him.
Okay.
And you see him pocket it into his waistcoat.
Let me just check a skill first.
Okay.
That's not very high. Oh, I wish I was invisible. Yanni, what's your sleight of hand like?
Paladins are notorious for their good sleight of hand, so we'll be fine.
I'm just thinking, I have good sleight of hand, but I'm also a visible servant.
As you're thinking about that, Ed, can I just ask, when we're talking about total class levels, I was talking about the combined level of whatever class it might be.
So essentially, I think this is right. You'd be looking for their challenge rating. I think that's right, or when it says class level. Sorry,
no, it means if they are of a martial class like we are.
Right. Okay. Yes.
It means that you can learn the mix-up if they are multi-classed.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Because I can only choose one, and you can tell me if we're equal, superior, or inferior.
You can choose two.
Does it say we can choose two?
Yeah, you can choose two of any of the things.
While you do that,
Two of the
I'm really
following.
desperate. I'm just going to pop to the loo real quick.
Okay. Well,
you can choose two of the following things. So.
Yeah, I was just thinking because the mix of levels would tell me if they have one, as in they're adept in some way, shape, or form, like we are, which means I can tell from all our party, actually, just thinking outside the box, I can tell from all our party what your total class levels are and your sort of constitution score, dex score, and strength and whatnot.
If you wanted to.
If I wanted to, yeah, absolutely.
Not very exciting on mine. We're pretty much all the same level.
But the keyword being enemy, so we're not enemies, so that's okay.
Well, not yet. Yeah.
But I'm thinking the total class levels, because the class levels would tell me if they're a magic user and they're hiding it really well, it would give me a clue as to whether I'm looking at Emlyn, Thomas, or
and
both.
also how high they are.
Exactly.
You know if they were actually a threat or not.
Yeah, and I can look at the scale for challenge rating, because I'm not quite so familiar with the challenge rating.
That's probably the most useful, because that basically tells us literally how much of a challenge they are.
How does challenge rating work? It's something I've not read upon.
It's in fractions. So you'd have to get Ed to kind of, if he told you the answer, he'd have to tell you an equivalent thing so that you could understand.
So I can choose two per person then. So then I would like to know was there challenge rating in there? Challenge rating is not in there. It's strength, dex, or constitution score, armor class, current hit points, total class levels, if any, and fighter class levels, if any. Okay. So I think what I'd like to know is the hit points and total class levels for Elmin.
So as you peruse Elmin, as he sort of stands to one side and bows to Thomas, you can see that his current hit points are 4.
I don't think it's exact numbers. I think it's
superior, less.
Much more inferior.
much
you
more
could
inferior.
still be like,
well, basically, we could just kill that guy. We could.
We could.
Yeah.
Or just hope he doesn't turn out to be on our side and like really important in the battle.
Total class levels was what the mix of what kind of class they are, correct?
So again,
nothing.
Much lower than you.
What about Thomas?
Thomas, remind me of your hit points.
My hit points are 60.
Okay. Looks a little less than you. Only a little.
Okay.
Strong old man.
And class levels? You can tell me if it's superior, equal, or less than.
Yeah. What? Your class, or what are you specifically looking into?
Yeah, so I guess Dalifar will be level 7, right?
Level 7, yeah.
So whether or not it's
equal, higher, or lower.
Yeah.
in just his class or in your class? Sorry, I know I'm being pernickety, but
I think it's any.
It's whatever class they are. So
they are.
Yeah.
my understanding is you don't need to say, oh, they're a fighter. You just need to say their class levels are more than yours, less than yours, the same as
Okay. In that case, looking at him, you get the sense that he is higher than you. Whatever he is, he appears to be very good at it.
A level 10
I can draw you a blueprint in like 1 minute.
Like no one else.
Just get a blank sheet of paper.
He appears... He is a very confident man, and he also appears to be a very capable one.
Okay.
And your eyes sort of meet for a moment as he sort of catches you, look at him, and please, after you.
Hang on, I haven't done my plan yet.
Oh yes, of course.
While he's still
Flashback.
upstairs.
Yeah, because I was doing my flashback.
Can I please walk into him clumsily and then go to, like, because he's old and frail and he might fall over, go to, like, stand him up again.
Okay.
Take the keys.
Make a sleight of hand check for me, please.
Does the fact that I pushed him over first help?
I would say
not just
probably
trying to
not.
take
This is including the
I could
performance
have just taken
of this.
it. I could have just
Wait,
taken it.
are you knocking over Lord Thomas?
Yeah. What's the point of the whole performance then?
Well, hang on a second. Just a quick question. Are you doing this when he's with us downstairs?
No, before. We went back a bit.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was like, oh, help you up and distract you a little bit. And
yeah.
Okay, now it's gone.
Come on. I might be about to get someone fired. Oh, no!
Oh, no!
It's a 1! No!
Oh!
As you bump into him, and he sort of, like, steadies himself against the edge of the banister, and he's like, watch it. And you just, I'm sorry, and you reach forward, and as you pick the key, it falls to the floor in between you, and he just looks at you. Jenny, what are you doing?
I just, like, do the whole sort of shy servant thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm so clumsy, and I just, like, leave into another room or something.
No, stop there. Elman, please come and have a word. I have guests to attend to. And he slowly makes his way down the stairs. And Dalafar, as you are getting a sense of Elman, he turns and goes up the stairs towards Jenny. Oriana, you are invisible at this point. What are you doing?
I would like to follow the burning sensation to its source.
So that will have subsided at this point. You can probably get a sense vaguely of where it is.
I would like to do my best to attempt to make my way into, I presume, is the attic.
Okay. Make an investigation check for me as you slowly make your way up the stairs. Mm-hmm. For the rest of you, Thomas has indicated the living area for you, and what are the rest of you doing?
Oh no, Diani. What did you do?
Get,
I thought it
Diani?
looked like a happy face.
It's a natural 20.
Yeah!
Oh my god!
So as you walk, and you're walking behind Elman as he ascends the stairs towards Terra, disguised as Jenny, and as he does so, and you hear him just, I think we should maybe have a word with me, please. And slowly, Jenny, you are led away from the door, which you, Oriana, are now stood in front of. And as you stand there, you start to look around where you are, and you start to just try and recall where the throbbing came from when you were stood outside. And as you stand next to this door, the door of Thomas's study, you just place an invisible hand out and touch the door. And for whatever reason you can't explain, this feels right.
This feels right, man.
Which door's that? The office door?
Yes.
The one that's locked?
Yes.
Right, there's locks, okay.
Try to get the keys for you, man.
So where is the key?
The key is in Thomas's waistcoat, and Thomas is now downstairs ushering everyone into the reception room.
Okay. How long has it been since I was turned invisible?
Not long, I'd say probably 10, 15 minutes, maybe.
I shall go downstairs and attempt to get the key.
Okay. What are the other three doing? What are you doing as you enter the reception room?
Sobbing. No, I'm not sobbing. I don't know what's going on. As far as Scarlett's aware, Oriana and Tara's plan is going well, I guess. I'm assuming it's all fine.
As we're walking, I sort of very, very, because I would sort of make myself walk next to Zini, and just whisper that Lord Thomas seems to be a very dangerous person.
I whisper back, well, duh.
No, I mean, very. If things were to go wrong, very quietly, if things were to go wrong, we would have a lot of trouble dealing with him.
Noted.
So you enter into the living room, and Thomas sits down and, so, how was your investigation going?
Well, Lord Eidelwhent, I wish I could be sitting before you and tell you we have resolved the matter, but unfortunately, we are going to need further investigation. Now, how did your wife? I floated an idea by her when we first met. Oh goodness, just yesterday, wasn't it? About a way we perhaps might make these killers come out of hiding. Did she perhaps pass this on to you at all?
She did. I believe it to be a remarkable idea. I've already passed on the idea to Hootan Brochure.
I do like a grimace.
And I just asked a question. Oh, just before I forget. Did you happen to have every mirror destroyed in the house? Every single mirror?
I had them taken out and placed into storage. Many of them are priceless, and many of them were handed to me by friends. I placed them in a warehouse.
And the warehouse is not on the grounds?
No, it is not in the grounds.
Okay, so there's no mirrors on these grounds?
There are no reflective surfaces or mirrors in this house.
Can I see if he's lying?
Make an sus check.
Yeah.
I will happily do that, and hopefully I roll better.
As this is going on, Terra, you are being taken down a corridor by Elmin. And he opens the door, and as you move through it, you see you are now in a very different portion of the house. You are in what look to be the servants' quarters. You can see beds, and as you are slowly taken down a staircase down into a lower level of the house, you see that there is a bustling, open kitchen, almost the size of the main hall itself, and everyone is cleaning and cooking and preparing. And as he brings you in, he goes, "What was that?"
I'm just so nervous with all of these burgers happening, and it's just made me really jumpy.
Look, Jenny, I can understand that, but he's the lord of the house. You understand me? You must demonstrate some decorum around him.
I understand. I'm so sorry.
Okay, now, as punishment, because you will expect punishment, you're to wash dishes today. Understood?
Yes, thank you.
All right, over there, now. I'll see you later.
Best D&D roll ever.
I hate
wash
this.
those dishes.
I feel like I have to do that myself. I feel like I am being punished.
So, Oriana, what are you doing?
Can I just... I would say that I'll probably wait at least... So, sorry, I know I already asked this. Remind me again, how many minutes has it been approximately since...
So now I would say probably 20.
20. Okay, I will wait a maximum of 15 minutes to see whether or not I can catch him without many people around.
I mean, at the moment, he is sat with the other three in the living room.
Also remember, when you're invisible, if you pick something up, it becomes invisible.
Mm-hmm.
It also becomes invisible, the thing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to do this with everyone else around because, screw it. First of all, I will attempt to grab the key as is.
Okay. Make a sleight of hand check in that case.
I got 18 on insight.
Okay.
Oh, on Thomas.
Yes.
He's telling the truth. He has removed mirrors from the house. You sense there is one thing he is probably not telling you.
Okay.
I rolled a 12.
Okay. So, Zini, you're sat there, very genteel, and, well, you're trying to keep calm, and you see...
He's moving up in the world.
And you see Thomas's waistcoat, the pocket, just slowly start to move, almost folding down as he's talking to you. And Oriana, you feel the key in your hand, and you slowly pull it out.
As I notice the pocket move, can I just, regardless of what is being said, because I know he's talking, and I know this is incredibly rude, but I will stand and say, Lord Eidelwhent, I fear I owe you an apology.
Is that right?
I'm sorry that I was so aggressive yesterday. I let my feelings cloud my judgment, and I treated you unfairly. And I offer my sincere apologies and ask for your forgiveness.
He looks at you, and Oriana, as you just stand there with the key in your hand, Thomas just... Well, in that case, I offer it.
You're a gracious man.
Not a problem. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen...
Can't you just leave me, please? Just leave me here.
As this is going on,
my punishment.
a figure comes over
Green.
in a green jerkin and a white apron, and comes over and just taps you on the shoulder and goes, Jenny, please, can you just... There's a bundle of clothes just over there. Can you take it to Lady Mary, if that's okay? I can cover for you here, and then you can come back. I know, Elmin, he ordered you to do this.
Yes, that's fine, and then I go.
Oh, thank you, Jenny, I won't forget.
You owe me so many favours now.
Okay, well, goodbye. And you just scoop up that bundle of clothes, and you just go. You leg it out of there, and slowly make your way back up the stairs, out through the servants' quarters and back. You are in the main body.
And I'm going to hold it in front of my face.
So unnaturally high, you're just sort of like, okay. You're once again on the balcony that surrounds the main hall. Oriana, what are you doing as the others continue talking with Lord Eidelwhent?
I will return to that locked door and lock the heck out of it.
Okay. You slide the key in and turn it, and there is a very satisfying And
Can I see this happening?
I'd say you can probably, if you are going to start opening the door, Oriana, I think you are able to perceive.
Can I
it
go and
slowly.
walk over and then just as it opens, just back into it?
Make a stealth check for me.
Why do you keep making me roll? Oh, can't we just play a game where everything succeeds?
Where's the fun in that?
Oh,
What is that game?
21.
21. Yep, so as you sort of move to the door, you feel a light, invisible brush against you, and immediately you just back into the room. And Oriana, are you following suit, or are you staying outside?
Yes, I am following, and I will also take the key out of the lock and close the door behind me. And is there a lock on the inside?
There is, yes.
Yeah, I'll lock it.
So
I can think he's just dropped his key somewhere.
you're inside, and Thomas looks at the three of you downstairs and just, well, are you here for a reason or not? I am expecting company very soon, so whatever you have, I would like it to be swift.
Not a problem, Lord Eidelwhent. Essentially, we feel we'll be best placed if we were able to attend your upcoming ball. If the famous chef Utan is willing to make a bone marrow dish to perhaps bring these, well, who knows if it is one or many people summoning these creatures, it perhaps might do well to have many of us there as protection, observation, and we are also helpful in our own ways. I cook a little myself, Zini plays instruments. We are a talented bunch, if I say so myself.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay, let's just get my fake dice, which is my phone.
So many scary rolls today.
I know. I was going to say, as Scarlett is saying that, I say yes. I think considering our efforts with helping Mary.
Yes.
Yeah.
She looks at you.
My persuasion is +0.
Yeah, but every persuasion roll you have made throughout this campaign has been amazing.
She looks at you and just, well, if Mary would want you there, I see no reason why not. Where are you staying at the moment?
We are perhaps going to search for some temporary lodgings, but we might have a place or two.
I'll need a place to send the invitations to, unless you plan on picking them up yourselves.
We can pick them up.
Wonderful. I will have those sorted for you by tomorrow.
We will do our best to stay out of the way and not interfere or cause any kind of negative impact at the party for you.
Lovely. Well, and at this point, a voice comes from the main hall, and you hear Elmin, Lord Thomas, guests. And Thomas, apologies, I must leave you all. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
He stands and slowly walks out. And as he leaves you alone in the room, as you gather your bearings, you just hear from the other room, Lord Ikreth Mall, sir. And that is where we will end the session.
Wait, who was it again?
I need to run. I need to run so fast.
All of
Which
those
guy
rolls
was that?
gave me a heart attack.
I'm just waiting for the inevitable moment where he tries to come back into the office and I have to hide under a table or something.
Ikris Mall is the guy who is...
He's the guy who led the meeting.
Yeah, he's the one who...
Not led, he was just present at.
He was present at the meeting.
Yeah,
He's the guy you're following.
and he saw you there.
He didn't see me. He heard us because we were a level above. But I think he has seen Oriana, hasn't he?
No, Oscar Gate has.
Oh, Oscar Gates has.
Spoken to her. Yeah.
No, but he's the one who heard us when we were trying to eavesdrop on the meeting.
We'll find out next session, won't
We will.
Yeah, it's as much as like it's stressful for all of you, like rolling, like also going, oh no, like my heart is kind of like going hard.
That one followed by that 20.
Okay.
Thank you everyone so much. Sorry that was a bit of a longer one, but obviously there was a lot to get through this session. But we'll be back again in a week, and this time I promise to have my nails done as well. But in the meantime...
I promise that I will do your nails.
Yes. Everyone, stay safe, stay well, and yeah, these are very uncertain times that we're living in, but we'll make it through.
We will.
So, I love you guys so much, and yeah, we'll do this again soon. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe as well.
Yes, it helps us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.